Chapter 101 A Chaotic Nation. Chapter 101 A Chaotic Nation. Listening to Elder Qin's words, Yi Futian felt a wave of sorrow. He made it sound like a farewell. He knew that Elder Qin was already really old and that Minister Hua was right. At this age, he would not be able to withstand a battle of this caliber. But because of him and Hua Jieyu, Elder Qin came running to their aid just because he was worried for them after hearing news from the school of the Emperor Star. Grand Master, called Hua Jieyu. In Yi Futian's arms, Hua Jieyu still had tears in her eyes. Deep down, she felt that something bad was going to happen. She never wanted to drag anyone into this situation. She even had her uncle tell Yi Futian not to come to the Nando Palace today, but he came anyway. Now, even Elder Qin was getting dragged in. Hua Jieyu felt awful. "Senior brother, why are you doing this to yourself?" asked Headmaster Yan Shao of the Emperor Star School. He sighed inwardly. He did not think that Elder Qin could change the situation in any way. Even with Yi Shang, it was impossible. The difference in power between the two parties was too great. Minister Hua came as ordered by the Emperor. Everything was already set in stone. There were only two options for Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian: have their lives be controlled by the royal family or die. There was not a third option. But Elder Qin did not seem to have heard his words. Gently, he said, "Futian, this is a piece that I wrote but have yet to name. Today, I'll let you name it for me." "Okay," answered Yi Futian. He felt awful but still nodded in agreement. Receiving a reply, Elder Qin smiled. Following that, his life spirit appeared. The Gukan spirit did not seem to be just an image, but a real Gukan. It descended in front of Elder Qin. Lifting both hands, he placed his fingers of the chords elegantly. "Kill them," Minister Hua spat. Yan Shao and Han Mo both jumped into action. A frightening storm blew past everything in its way and headed straight for the people on the crane. At the same time, the crane called loudly while Elder Qin began to stroke the chords. The two sounds combined, shaking the earth and destroyed the oncoming storm. The sound had everyone shaking. Yan Shao looked at Elder Qin. It seemed that despite his old age, Elder Qin had realized the true essence of musical sorcery after many years of quiet cultivation. He had become more fearsome. However, musical sorcery needed to be boosted by spiritual energy, particularly with the stronger spells. At Elder Qin's age and in his condition, how was he going to withstand this battle? Minister Hua's expression remained cold. He reached his hand out into the air and with a single swipe of his palm, a straight line appeared and shot forward, cutting through the air. Elder Qin played the Gukan with both hands as the crane flapped its wings to the rhythm. Slowly, the crane was lifted up into midair. Its head pointed upward as it called out, again and again, harmonizing with the sound of the Gukan. The two sounds traveled far and wide. Elder Qin was always a hermit, but today, his music was going to be known by all of the East Sea. A loud wave of music crept deep into people's ears, piercing their eardrums. In a single moment, they were able to feel the power hidden in the sonorous sounds of the Gukan. Every attack aimed at Elder Qin was completely destroyed. With the crane as an epicenter, a crazy storm of music exploded and swept over everything. A storm of ice hit and froze the area over. At the same time, a mystical tree appeared in the sky. Its branches grew in a wild manner and created a canopy cover the area. The branches continued to grow, creeping closer to the crane. All the cultivators around were releasing their powers as they tried everything to prevent the crane from leaving the area. Elder Qin was oblivious to all this. He was still focused on his piece. His fingers moved so fast, it was just a blur, but his movements only got quicker. As the music escalated, Elder Qin's frail body released a shocking aura. His white hair blew back and his long robe fluttered in the wind. He now seemed to have returned to his youth. His aura was frightful and reached higher than the sky. The sound of the Gukan traveled through the air. Another storm struck and cracked the ice covering the earth below. The vines headed for them were also disturbed. Once this piece was played, there wasn't any that could be done to stop its force. Yi Futian stood behind Elder Qin. He listened and observed quietly. The ever-escalating sounds of the Gukan were getting increasingly powerful. It caused his blood to pump in excitement. "Chaos," said someone from below. Every cultivator from the Nando clan lifted their head to look up at the sky. Their hearts pounded wildly. It was unbelievable that a frail old man could play so swiftly and fiercely. It was an earth-shattering sound. Chaotic. This musical piece was able to destroy any spell and could throw the spiritual chi into a frenzy. Spells couldn't be formed from spiritual chi, unless the piece was interrupted. "Have you gone mad?" asked Minister Hua. He was now in the air and followed the crane. Naturally, he was also afraid of what Elder Qin could do. Elder Qin kept getting stronger and the sounds of the guqin kept escalating, its effects more powerful. However, Elder Qin did not have spiritual energy strong enough to upkeep this type of musical spell. That was unless he had a death wish. Elder Qin was too immersed in the music, not hearing a thing Minister Hua said. The crane rose higher and higher into the sky. After breaking through the canopy formed by the branches of the mystical tree, the crane headed out of the Nando Palace. The elder was set on bringing the young couple away from this place. "Chase after them," ordered Minister Hua. The cultivators stepped into the sky and followed after the crane. Did Elder Qin and Yi Shang really think they could escape with the couple with a lineup like this? Nando Tai was also chasing after them. He was shocked to see every attack thrown at Elder Qin repelled by the wave of music. Headmaster Yi Shang of the Finance Star School and Elder Qin of the Emperor Star School were two people of the highest status, and they actually put themselves in danger for Yi Futian. If Yi Futian was able to promise Nando Tai the throne of the Nando nation, what could he have promised Yi Shang and Elder Qin? Perhaps nothing at all. Perhaps they simply believed in him. But why did Yi Futian deserve this? Were his extraordinary gifts a good enough reason for these two big shots to risk their lives for him? Nando Tai tossed these thoughts to the back of his mind. He did not want to think of this right now. His first priority was to keep Yi Futian and the others from leaving. Nando Tai had already made the decision to kill him. If they let Yi Futian go today, it would only mean trouble in the future. The large group headed out of the Nando Palace. The guests of the party also followed. They wanted to know how this battle was going to end and what the fate of these young lovers was. The sound of the guqin was still escalating. Yi Shang stood beside Elder Qin and looked at him with great respect. Any person of his level was able to see through this situation. This was probably the last piece Elder Qin would ever play. Yi Futian turned around, his back now towards Elder Qin. He shifted his attention to those chasing after them and saw every attack being destroyed by the music. He felt calm and at peace. "Grand Master, the name of this piece is A Chaotic World," said Yi Futian. Yi Shang's eyes blazed with emotion. Yi Futian named the piece A Chaotic World. The meaning behind the name needed no explanation. If Yi Futian didn't die today, then it was going to get chaotic in the Nando nation. As the elder continued to play, he smiled and nodded. A chaotic nation, what a fitting name. The crane has finally flown out of the palace property. They watched as another group of people rushed into the skies. It was Sha Feng and his people who had been waiting outside the palace. They didn't think that Yi Futian and the others would make it out alive. This came as a surprise to Sha Feng and the people of the East Sea Prefecture. With a sharp sword in his hand, Sha Feng waved it around in the air. Spiritual chi began to flow around him and formed the intent of sword. As the crane headed in his direction, Sha Feng raced forward. Following him was the intent of sword. A stream of swords appeared, prepared for mass destruction. The stream of swords swept toward the crane. It seemed that Elder Qin had not yet noticed this. He focused solely on playing the guqin. The music continued to escalate, wanting to break through into the heavens. The scary wave of music cut through the stream of swords and pierced into Sha Feng's head. His movements ceased, and after a moan of pain, he spat blood. His face paled. However, his sword did not stop advancing. The stream of swords was also still on the move. Yi Shang took a step closer to the front of the crane. He threw out both fists at an incredible speed. His punches were so quick that it looked like 1,000 punches were being thrown at once. The punches broke through the stream of swords, destroying everything. The crane moved with the punches and flew right through the stream with no problem. They continued on their way. Sha Feng fell to the ground. He lifted his head to watch the figures above. His expression was not so good. He did not have much spiritual energy to begin with, and musical sorcery was able to attack spiritual energy. With this piece that Elder Qin was playing, if Sha Feng tried to challenge it head-on, he would die of spiritual energy exhaustion. When he saw Minister Hua, Nando Tai and the two headmasters of the Emperor Star School chasing behind the group, Sha Feng knew that they too were unwilling to face the power of the music head-on. "Senior brother, this piece is indeed very powerful, but for how long do you think you'll be able to last?" said Minister Hua. "There is no escape for you guys." The music continued. Elder Qin had no intentions of stopping. Slowly, he lifted his head with a smile. "Yi Shang, take Futian and Jieyu and leave." Yi Shang looked at the elder. He made no objections and nodded. "All right, Grand Master." Yi Futian's heart clenched. He knew what was going to happen next. "Child, don't be sad. I didn't have much time left anyway. If I am able to help you guys escape today, then I can die happy," said Elder Qin. He seemed so at peace. "Grand Master, didn't you say that you had to see us get married?" Hua Jieyu had tears in her eyes. "Child, I have lived a long life and don't have much time left. Promise me that you two will live a happy life, and like I said before, always love each other," said the elder. He smiled and he turned around abruptly. "Xiao Gao, take them away from here and don't come back." Finishing what he had to say, the elder stepped off the crane and headed towards the group chasing them from behind. Tears fell from the crane's big eyes. It flapped its wings quickly and continued to advance, never once stopping. "Grand Master," called Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. Yi Shang watched in silence and told them, "Don't let Elder Qin die in vain. You both must live on." Chapter 102 A Heroic Death. Chapter 102 A Heroic Death. As Elder Qin played the guqin in the air, a terrible music storm enveloped the vast space, soaring toward the coming army. Seeing him so, Minister Hua sneered. His senior was walking toward a dead end. "You keep chasing. I'll deal with him," said Minister Hua. He moved towards Elder Qin, walking into the horrible music storm step by step. It was difficult for Elder Qin's music to continue rising. It had probably reached the limit. Elder Qin didn't care and continued to play. The music storm swept the sky. Soon, the guqin transformed from the life spirit flew out of Elder Qin's hand. However, something amazing happened. The guqin that floated in the air was still being played as if it was playing by itself. Beams of illusory light projected from Elder Qin. Each beam seemed to be his phantom, constantly blending in with the guqin spirit. That spirit was suspended in the sky. The strings jumped freely. The high-pitched music vibrated between the heaven and earth. The shocking sonic energy enveloped the whole space so that no one could escape from it. Yan Xiao, the headmaster of the school of the Emperor Star, and Han Mo were supposed to keep chasing, but they halted. Looking up to the Elder Qin, they saw the old man with closed eyes. He looked serene while the guqin above was still ringing. The sharp sound constantly beat the eardrum. The music, which shouldn't be able to rise further, rose again, growing more and more frightening. They couldn't continue the chase and had to concentrate on defending themselves. Otherwise, the consequences would be miserable. Even Minister Hua, strong as he was, stopped at this moment. Looking at the spirit of the guqin playing automatically, he finally figured out what the Elder Qin was doing. Between benevolence and survival, he chose to play this last song with his life. Hearing the higher and higher pitched music, some people held their heads in hands in agony. Someone even vomited blood, their faces pale. Those who were not strong enough even fell to the ground, convulsing in pain. Only those strongest could resist the storm. The musical notes created by the spiritual qi were still beating, constantly destroying the strong below, making them unable to fight. Above the guqin spirit, the beating notes shaped the illusory figure of an old man. The man walked towards Minister Hua and Nado Tai step by step. Many copies of Elder Qin appeared between the guqin spirit and the two people. Accompanied by notes, those figures moved directly toward Minister Hua and Nando Tai. Minister Hua closed his eyes. A terrible spiritual storm transformed into an indomitable sword aiming to wipe away those illusory figures. However, those images, seemingly embracing the spirit of Elder Qin's whole life, continued to step towards Minister Hua and Nando Tai. Finally, those figures approached Minister Hua and Nando Tan. The two's long hair danced crazily. The next moment, those illusory figures walked directly toward their bodies, into their minds. The strings were still jumping violently while Minister Hua and Nando Tai closed their eyes tightly as if they were resisting something. After what felt like a long time, Nando Tai vomited a mouthful of blood. He felt powerless and fell to the ground. Soon, Minister Hua groaned and vomited blood. His face was pale like paper and he stooped slightly. Although better than Nando Tai, he was still badly hurt. Bang! Another explosion came. Minister Hua stumbled back and vomited a mouthful of blood again, barely stopping himself from falling. Boom! As if prepared just for Minister Hua, the final sound of the Gukan echoed in his brain. His propped body finally sat down on the ground, his clothes dyed red with blood. Despite being minister, he didn't even have the time to display his strength before being forced into such a pathetic state. Elder Chin was playing the Gukan with his life. Finally, the jumping strings gradually ceased. The people saw that the Gukan spirit disintegrated into beams of light, dispersing between heaven and earth as if it had never existed. The music completely disappeared. Elder Chin was quietly sitting like a statue, calmness and serenity on his face. He is dead. Keep chasing, Minister Hua ordered coldly. Yan Shao and Han Mo were slightly wounded but Elder Chin's final attack wasn't aimed at them. They continued chasing forward. Behind them, Sha Feng arrived with his men but was stunned when seeing the scene. Go, Minister Hua ordered directly. Yes, Minister. Sha Feng nodded and continued their chase. After they left, Minister Hua gazed at the elderly figure with a complex expression. Senior, I do not like you because there seemed to be nothing that you cared about, but I didn't expect you to die so heroically. I will remember the music you played today forever. Minister Hua looked at the old man's figure and said, unfortunately, your death won't make them survive. They still can't escape from my grasp. Minister Hua sat down to heal. Nando Tai sat beside him, his face still pale. The reason why Elder Chin chose to use all the power to attack them before dying was probably because he wanted to buy some time by stopping the two strongest people. But Yan Shao and Han Mo were not common people, while the regiment led by Sha Feng wasn't hurt either. As Minister Hua thought, since the school of Emperor Star could overwhelm the other 6 schools of Donghai Academy, the headmasters Yan Shao and Han Mo were definitely very strong. With wind sorcery wrapped around their bodies, the two chased with the fastest speed. They were even faster than the crane. Its cultivation was lower than Yan Shao's. Standing on the back of the crane and seeing Yan Shao and Han Mo chasing behind, Yi Shang vaguely guessed something. He said, go quickly. Do not think about me. Senior. Yi Futian looked at Yi Shang. Don't be so romantic. I won't die for you. If I can't win, I will run. Take care of yourself, Yi Shang said. He took a step back directly. Hearing this, Yi Futian was relieved. Though having a bad temper, Yi Shang was an extremely intelligent person. He always knew how to make the most advantageous choice. Seeing Yi Shang coming, Yan Shao and Han Mo separated. They obviously learned from the previous battle with Elder Chin. They walked apart so that Yi Shang could only stop one person. Yi Shang cursed at the two cunning guys in his mind. Without hesitating, Yi Shang walked toward Yan Shao, the headmaster of the school of Emperor Star. Yan Shao was stronger and good at the wind element, with which he could improve the speed of both him and Han Mo. Therefore, Yi Shang chose to fight with Yan Shao so that it would be more possible for Yi Futian to escape. Yi Shang, we haven't had a fight for years, right? Asked Yan Shao, seeing Yi Shang walking toward him. There is a chance today. Yi Shang stepped toward Yan Shao and issued the challenge without any hesitation. As for Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu, they could only depend on themselves. If they were intercepted by the two, it would only be more dangerous. Han Mo continued chasing while Sha Feng's group also came. They only glanced at Yan Shao and Yi Shang but didn't stop. Who they were heading for was still at the front. I'll go ahead, said Sha Feng. He rode his sword with extreme speed, chasing toward the front. Soon, he met up with Han Mo and chased the crane together. The flying crane stopped and turned its head. Seeing Yi Futian and the other two, the crane tweeted. Yi Futian seemed to know what it meant, and asked, you want us to leave? The crane nodded. Yi Futian glanced at Nando Wenyan, who nodded back at him. Take care, Yi Futian said. Then, Nando Wenyan, Yi Futian, and Hua Jieyu continued to move forward. As they stepped down, the crane immediately flew toward Han Mo and Sha Feng. The crane's loud voice turned into sonic waves attacking the eardrums of Han Mo and Sha Feng. "You go after them," Han Mo said and ran toward the crane. Sha Feng nodded and tried to bypass the crane from the side. However, the crane flapped its wings and the sound was heard again. Flapping the wings, the crane pounced toward them with sharp claws. "You evil creature!" Sha Feng swung his sword but saw the crane avoid his attack directly and pounced on Han Mo. The crane was trying to stop both of them. Han Mo and Sha Feng both frowned. At this moment, Sha Feng's men caught up with them. Sha Feng ordered, "Go catch the three." He and Han Mo surrounded the crane, not letting it rescue Yi Futian and the others. The army moved past. Since only Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, and Nando Wenyan were left, this elite army from the East Sea Prefecture was enough to deal with them easily. Even the slightly threatening Nando Wenyan couldn't resist them, so Sha Feng had no worries. As they had expected, the three were soon blocked. They stopped and Nando Wenyan looked at Yi Futian. "Take Jieyu away." "No use." Holding Hua Jieyu, Yi Futian shook his head. They had escaped all this way but they were too weak. The enemy hadn't given up and had finally caught up with them. It was impossible to escape now. Nando Wenyan also understood the situation. Would they really die here today? Poor Elder Qin had fought for the last opportunity for them and even sacrificed his life, but still, nothing could be changed. Chapter 103 The Light of an Emperor. Chapter 103 The Light of an Emperor. Minister Hua was sent by Emperor Luo to keep watch at the Nando Palace and Chief Sha Feng of the East Prefecture and his army at the Gukan Gardens. They were prepared for Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian's defiance. When it did happen, they were going to kill them on the spot. Then, Minister Hua waited for Yi Futian at the Nando Palace. He ordered Nando Tai to let Yi Futian enter the palace because he was waiting for Yi Futian fall into his trap. The imperial order was a death sentence for Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian. Minister Hua was confident that he had everything under his control, and he did. Even if Elder Qin sacrificed himself while playing a chaotic nation, the result would be the same. The only thing Minister Hua never expected was Yi Futian trying to talk Nando Tai into revolting after demonstrating his extraordinary gifts, and that Nando Tai would actually be wavered by Yi Futian's words. At this time, the East Sea Prefecture's army arrived. They were all staring at the three figures in front of them. Obviously, Sha Fan was amongst the group. He wanted to watch Yi Futian die. "Kill them but leave the girl for now," ordered Sha Fan with a wicked smile. The army acted immediately, heading for the three of them. Nando Wenyan stood in front of the two youths. A strong force of spiritual energy was released. Her long hair danced wildly. The spears in the hands of the army began to shake as if trying to break free of their grasp. Some of the weaker cultivators were unable to control the spears and let go of their weapons. The spears then stabbed themselves. "Fight it!" yelled a cultivator in the Arcana plane. He cast a spell, aimed at the three. In the air, not far behind the three, came a figure. She witnessed the scene in front of her and rushed forward like a flash of lightning. The spell had reached Nando Wenyan and the others but was destroyed when the figure came crashing down from the skies with a loud bang. A beautiful silhouette appeared next to Nando Wenyan. The strong figure was actually a woman. "Thank you," said Nando Wenyan. "I didn't do it to save you," said Tang Wan. "Let's fight." Nando Wenyan nodded. Even though the two women used to be love rivals, they were going to fight side by side right now. Both of their life spirits were released. Nando Wenyan's life spirit was glamorous but peculiar. It was a crown. When the crown was on her head, she looked majestic, like a queen. A powerful of spiritual energy was released, and everyone below the Arcana plane felt their weapons begin to vibrate in their hands. Tang Wan took one look at Nando Wenyan. In her eyes, there was jealousy and melancholy. Nando Wenyan was the descendant of royalty and was definitely more elegant than herself. Tang Wan's life spirit was much more violent. It was a white demon tiger. What was special about her life spirit was that the demon tiger had wings. It was the king of all tigers. "Tang Wan, do you know why Hua Fengliu picked her and not you?" "Just take a look at your life spirits," mocked an Arcana plane cultivator. "Do you have a death wish?" asked Tang Wan. The one thing she hated most was when people insulted her life spirit. As the tigress mad, laughed the same person. He was provoking Tang Wan on purpose. Roar. The tiger called out loudly. Following that, illusory images of tigers pounced at the Arcana Plane cultivator. Tang Wan took one step forward, and her body was taken over by the image of a tiger. Her wings glistened in the light, and in a flash, she joined the other images of the tigers into the crowd. In a split second, blood was spilled and many of the people in the prefecture army were sent flying. At the same time, Nando Wenyan controlled from behind. She was a powerful spirit sorcerer and had the gift of telekinesis. She could even control the body of others. Hua Jieyu inherited both her and Hua Fengliu's gifts, and thus had powers that were slightly different. Surround them, ordered Sha Fan as he hid at the back of the group. The army moved forward. Spells were cast left and right but kept getting destroyed. They were unable to control both of the women at once, so they chose to surround the group instead. Yi Futian watched the scene unfold, and the wings of his back appeared. Turning around, his wings carried him and Hua Jieyu away. He knew that if they stayed, they would only become a burden to the two women. They wouldn't be able to help at all. Sha Fan led a group around those who were surrounding Tang Wan and Nando Wenyan to follow after Yi Futian. Nando Wenyan and Tang Wan were trapped in the middle of the crowd. They wanted to clear an escape route by killing the soldiers surrounding them, but their opponents saw through their plan and attacked Mai vigorously, restraining the women. Sha Fan watched Yi Futian's fleeting back as he chased after the couple. The wicked smile on his face grew wider. Who would have thought, after so many big shots tried to kill Yi Futian, he had been able to escape until now, just to die in Sha Fan's hands. Still trying to escape, Sha Fan was toying with Yi Futian. The Dharma Plane cultivators beside Sha Fan sped up and blocked Yi Futian off. As of now, whether it be Elder Qin or the people from the Gukan Gardens, most of them had been pulled into the battle. Only some of the younger members had yet to participate. Who was going to save Yi Futian now? Yi Futian turned around to look at Sha Fan coldly. Back in Qingzhou City, Yi Futian almost died because of Sha Fan. Now, even in the city of Donghai, they had fallen into a similar situation. So beautiful, said Sha Fan as he stared at the beautiful girl in Yi Futian's arms. Hua Jieyu looked at him coldly, then quickly turned her attention away. Kill Yi Futian, ordered Sha Fan. Many Arcana Plane cultivators charged forwards Yi Futian. A rustling sound emerged. The World Tree Spirit appeared, shining brightly in the sky. Immediately after, the Life Spirit began to absorb spiritual chi greedily. Back at the Nando Palace, he did not release this Life Spirit because he did not want to expose too much. Also, he believed that his godfather would come out to save him, but he was wrong. His godfather did not show up and Yi Futian did not understand why. Now, he was really at a dead end. There was no use in hiding anymore. He wished for a chance to live. Sha Fan was shocked at the appearance of the World Tree Spirit. He had yet another life spirit. No wonder Minister Zuo bestowed you with the decree of the minister. You really are a genius cultivator. Pity that you won't be able to fulfill your destiny, said Sha Fan. From Yi Futian's body, wood spiritual chi flowed crazily, and the lock of 1,000 vines shot towards the Dharma Plane cultivators. One of the cultivators' realizations of Dharma was a sea of fire, burning everything. The vines released by the lock of 1,000 vines was burnt to a crisp by the high temperatures. The opponent's palm came towards Yi Futian. Not only was this person a Dharma Plane cultivator, but he was one of the strongest in the Dharma Plane. He and Yi Futian were too many levels apart. There was no way for Yi Futian to defend himself. The burning palm closed in on Yi Futian, but he used a wind spell to retreat quickly. However, he was not quick enough because he was struck on the shoulder. The clothes covering his shoulder turned to ash, revealing bloody flesh. At the same time, Yi Futian was also thrown back. He managed to stabilize himself, not falling to the ground. He endured the pain as he kept holding Hua Jieyu. I'm sorry, Fox. I wasn't able to marry you. Yi Futian lowered his head to look at Hua Jieyu. I'm happy just being here with you. Hua Jieyu smiled brightly. From the day the Imperial Order arrived at the Nando Palace, Hua Jieyu had been prepared. And because of this, even though her fears had come true, she felt calm. Besides, she had Yi Futian by her side. Okay, nodded Yi Futian. He looked up at the Dharma plane cultivators and released all of his life spirits with a smile. The world around them became so magnificent all of a sudden. Upon witnessing this, the Dharma plane cultivators couldn't help but stop in their tracks. They felt shivers run down their back as they stared at Yi Futian. Was he really human? What kind of freak was this person they were sent to kill today? Let's make a deal. You guys let me off the hook and leave with me. I bet it would be better than staying with Sha Fan, said Yi Futian. He looked at the stunned cultivators and chuckled. There was no way back. He had to try everything he could think of. Even though the chances were slim, he still had to give it a shot. In the back, Sha Fan was also frozen in shock. His heart pounded. How could someone like Yi Futian exist? Suddenly, he thought of something. Back then, on Mount Tianyao, Yi Futian fell into the canyon of 10,000 beasts and was still able to make it out alive. Now that he had seen all of Yi Futian's life spirits, Sha Fan had a wild thought. Did you survive the fall on Mount Tianyao because you received Emperor Yi Qing's inheritance? Asked Sha Fan. The cultivators who were listening were shocked. The inheritance of Emperor Yi Qing. Yeah, said Yi Futian matter-of-factly. He smiled and looked at the others. Do you guys think you'll be better off with the successor of Emperor Yi Qing or with Sha Fan? Don't listen to him. Do you guys really think that he would kill you guys for revenge if you leave with him today? Asked Sha Fan. Kill him immediately, and you guys will be rewarded when we return. The Dharma plane cultivators' eyes lit up in realization. They thought of the rest of the army and the Arcana plane cultivators coming behind them and knew that leaving with Yi Futian was unrealistic. They would never get away. Two figures charged at Yi Futian simultaneously. Even though they were not completely willing now, they knew that they had to kill him if they wanted to live. To have the blood of such an important person on their hands was also something to be proud of. Feeling the two figures getting closer, Yi Futian tried to release his sorcery, but it was no use. His attacks were ignored by his opponents and they continued to come towards him. A spear was headed his way, and Yi Futian spun around abruptly, putting his back to the spear. He looked down and smiled at Hua Jieyu in his arms. He tried really hard, but he couldn't defy the imperial order. Emperor Luo wanted him dead, so that was the only thing he could do in the Nando nation. He had never even met Emperor Luo. If he had the chance, Yi Futian really wanted to meet him. Dummy. Hua Jieyu reached out her slender fingers and caressed Yi Futian's handsome face. She returned his smile. She knew that even at the last moment, Yi Futian wanted to protect her, taking the blow for her. He really was a dummy. A stabbing sound was heard, and the long spear pierced Yi Futian's body. At this moment, evilness spread across Sha Fan's face. Was he finally dead? What was the use of being so gifted? The cultivator who had stabbed Yi Futian let out a sigh. This unbelievably talented young man had died in his hands. He used force to try to pull the spear out of Yi Futian, but the weapon would not budge. A noise sounded. It sounded like blood pumping. At that moment, the cultivator was astonished to find out that the spear he had stabbed Yi Futian had been reduced to nothing. What's going on? Asked the cultivator. He lifted his head to look at Yi Futian's back. It was as if something had been broken in Yi Futian's body. A blinding light erupted from his body. Then, there were 2 rays of light. 2 became 3 and 3 became 4. Countless rays of light were emitted from Yi Futian's body. It was like the light of an emperor. 10 feet, 20 feet, 100 feet. The rays of light shone into the sky like a fairy tale. Another look at Yi Futian's world tree spirit revealed that it was giving off a golden sheen and had become a mystical tree. Spiritual chi gathered crazily around the tree. The silhouette was no longer that of a teenager, but that of a majestic emperor. Chapter 104 Execution. Chapter 104 Execution. Standing there in the glory, Yi Futian had no idea what happened. Inside his body, the rumbling blood turned into gold. There seemed to be the golden figure of an emperor. This figure was very vague. He was unable to see his face clearly and only sensed his unique temperament, noble and mighty. The endless light of the emperor broke out from here to envelop his body. That figure seemed to be moving in his body, coming closer and closer to his mind. The temperament grew stronger and stronger. Yi Futian wanted to see his face clearly but still couldn't. He wondered who had left the emperor's intent in his body. Did this have anything to do with his birth? But he had no time to think as the king-like figure was moving. Every punch, strike, and movement the figure made revealed an emperor's imposing manner. Accompanied by the movement of the figure, Yi Futian felt the blood in his body roaring as well as the soul. His whole momentum was in a steep rise. It did not seem like his own power. His spirit devoured the spiritual chi of the world like a sacred tree. With his aura changing, he felt full of endless power. Every action that the figure made in his body seemed to be engraved in his mind. Being held in Yi Futian's arms, Hua Jieyu could naturally sense his transformations. She had been prepared to die but was stunned by the gorgeous light projected from Yi Futian's body. She had never seen Emperor Luo, but she felt that the emperor would never have such temperament. It was as if Yi Futian was an emperor by nature. She suddenly thought of her fate predicted by Minister Zuo and Yi Futian's query to Nando Tai. At this moment, she finally understood what the empress's fate meant and why Minister Zuo had laughed when she asked whether Yi Futian would come back from the city of Qingzhou. This was her destiny. They were meant to be together. Thinking of this, Hua Jieyu's eyes grew red. A translucent teardrop slipped down her face. The fate did not cheat her. Her beautiful eyes became more resolved. Since fate was so, what else in the world could prevent them from being together? Her beloved was fated to be a true emperor. Sha Fan was shocked at the sight of all. His hideous smile was frozen. The strange situation completely overturned his thinking. What was this? Why didn't the spear that pierced Yi Futian's body kill him but instead turn him into an emperor bathed in dazzling emperor's brilliance? Who could tell him what was going on? He had never seen or even heard of such a scene before. This did not make any sense. Cultivations should be done step by step, and a sudden rise in cultivation was impossible. If someone had left something in Yi Futian's body, how strong must that person be? Sha Fan didn't know. With a menacing face, Sha Fan roared at two in the Dharma plane near Yi Futian. Kill him. The two in the Dharma plane were also dazed by the shock at the sight of Yi Futian's changes. Sha Fan's roar triggered their murderous intent. Spears made from spiritual chi and horrible handprints of flames were thrown toward Yi Futian viciously. This time, however, they were not able to hit Yi Futian. The emperor's halo surrounding Yi Futian seemed to be transformed into a blurry figure. The emperor's glory around him blocked the spears and handprints, making them unable to get close to Yi Futian's body. Seeing this, the two fighters, Sha Fan, and the surrounding people all grew pale. They had a bad feeling. Many life spirits disappeared, leaving only the ancient world tree life spirit swaying in the wind like something sacred. Leaves rustling, new vines lashed out from the sacred tree toward the two strong figures behind Yi Futian. The two were shocked. They used spears and flames at the same time, wanting to destroy the vines, but the vines snaking towards their bodies seemed indestructible. They were lifted up in the air in few seconds. Some subtle sounds were heard and the small leaves pierced through their body. Blood rain poured down. Yi Futian slowly turned around. He looked up to Sha Fan with the emperor's gold eyes. You are not Yi Futian. Who are you? Sha Fan felt great panic. It was too strange that every part of Yi Futian's body had the emperor's intent. This did not belong to him at all. What do you think? Yi Futian asked coldly. Gorgeous wings appeared behind him. As the wings flapped, he rose into the air with Hua Jieyu in his arms and flew toward Sha Fan. In his body, the emperor-like figure was still dancing. Every action kept being branded in the mind while urging the power around him, making him more powerful. Yi Futian also understood that this force was not his, but at least at the moment, it belonged to him. Kill him. Sha Fan stepped backward but ordered the people next to him. Those people trembled unceasingly, not daring to move forward. Go! Sha Fan thundered while he retreated. He turned and fled toward the battlefield at the back where there were the strong fighters of the Arcana Plane. The wings behind Yi Futian unfolded. The terrifying wings seemed to be cutting through the air with shrill sounds. Yi Futian was near the strong figures in an instant. Without stopping, he crossed them like a flash of lightning. Continuous whooshes were heard. Blood kept blooming in the air along constant screams. Uncle! Sha Fan seemed to figure out what had happened behind him. Howling, he ran forward. Help me! A powerful person of the Arcana plane noticed the situation here. He left the battlefield, coming toward Sha Fan. He passed over Sha Fan and pounced toward Yi Futian. This was Sha Feng's junior, a swordsman in training. His sharp sword, with dazzling brilliance, pierced toward Yi Futian. He had no idea why Yi Futian had such a transformation, but there was no time for him to figure out the reason. What he needed to do was to kill Yi Futian. Rest for a bit, Yi Futian said softly to Hua Jiu. The vines rolled over to carry Hua Jiu. Endless vines made a wooden bed as comfortable as possible for her. Then Yi Futian raised his fist and punched the sword coming toward him. This punch was not the battle skill he had practiced, but with the movement in his mind in sync. He just punched naturally, and the momentum of the emperor surrounding him was thrown forward too. A terrible storm formed immediately, wiping out the sword's viciousness. The swordsman in training paled. Yi Futian moved in the air and the second blow was thrown out. The punch seemed simple but contained the momentum of the universe and the emperor. An illusory figure of emperor attached to him. They hurled their fists together. Facing the emperor's power, everyone shall surrender. No one could fight back. That swordsman was frightened. The great momentum contained in the emperor's fist rolled over his body, and then there seemed to be a thunderous exploding. This swordsman in training of the Arcana plane was shattered and nothing was left. No, Sha Fan was terrified and full of despair that his uncle, a swordsman of the Arcana plane, was killed by just one of Yi Futian's punches. The man's body had collapsed into nothingness. Sha Fan trembled. The viciousness in his eyes from before was replaced by deep fear. However, Yi Futian felt the emperor's intent reached its pinnacle. The moving figure gradually slowed down as if it was about to end. Yi Futian had a feeling that the emperor's intent was temporary. There was not much time left for him. Moreover, the intent might have appeared to teach him a set of battle methods. Thinking of this, the wings flashed again. With incredible speed, he joined Nando Wenyan and Tang Lan in the battlefield. With wings cutting through the air, continuous pops were heard. The strong men of the Arcana plane became powerless, slaughtered by Yi Futian. Nando Wenyan and Tang Lan were also shocked by the changes in Yi Futian, but knew what to do at the moment. They cooperated with Yi Futian to fight. Yi Futian punched continuously. Each fist and handprint contained the powerful momentum of the emperor. The strong were constantly killed and defeated. More and more corpses were piled on the ground. In few minutes, only two strong figures of the Arcana plane were left and they turned to escape. Yi Futian was too strong that they simply couldn't overcome him. Yi Futian flashed, dodged, and punched like lightning. His fist tore through the air and smashed someone. The emperor's intent grew stronger. Looking at the last escaping man, Yi Futian threw out a palm. A handprint of the emperor destroyed everything. It pursued the escaping man and shattered his body. Other than Sha Fan, all were killed. Nando Wenyan and Tang Lan looked at Yi Futian with great shock. The emperor's intent soared to the extreme at this moment. Hundreds of meters of the emperor's bright light shone. Yi Futian didn't notice their eyes and walked toward Sha Fan. Sha Fan retreated step by step with great fear in his eyes. "Let me go. I can promise you whatever you want," Sha Fan begged, staring imploringly at Yi Futian. The subtle sounds came again. The vines rolled over Sha Fan's body. His limbs and neck were tied and he was suspended in the air. No, Sha Fan seemed to figure out what was about to happen. He roared in horror and struggled in vain. The vines curled around his body, pulled in different directions. It was like an execution. Chapter 105. One who wants the crown, bears the crown. Chapter 105. One who wants the crown, bears the crown. In the air, Sha Fan's body has been stretched out. His arms, his legs, and his head were wrapped with vines coming from different directions. He had already wet himself, the color drained from his face. With his eyes shut, he cried and he begged, "I'm sorry. I was wrong." Sha Fan had first seen Yi Futian and Hua Jiu by the lake in the city of Qingzhou. Back then, the young Yi Futian was just an insignificant plaything to Sha Fan. On Mount Tianyao, he had played with Yi Futian's life and now, he was receiving his punishment. Yi Futian remained emotionless at Sha Fan's miserable condition. The vines exerted strength and began to pull. Ah! Sha Fan screamed in pain. There was only one scream. The blood rained down from the sky, but Yi Futian did not stay to watch. He turned to pick up Hua Jiu, who had been carried to him by the vines, and walked towards Nando Wenyan and Tang Wan. To them, he said, "Let's return to the Gukan Gardens." The vibrations within his body had stopped. The emperor-like silhouette had faded into just a shadow. The light that radiated from him had also dimmed. Yi Futian withdrew his life spirits. He did not want to think of anything else. There was only one thing on his mind: he must live on. Grandmaster had traded his life for Yi Futian's. Yi Shang and the crane fought to keep him alive. He had to stay alive. "Let's go," nodded Tang Wan. She had so many questions right now but knew that this was not the time to ask. Their little group rose into the sky and headed in the direction of the Gukan Gardens at top speed. Not long after Yi Futian and the others left, another group of people arrived at the empty field. Leading the group were Chief Sha Feng of the East Sea Prefecture and Vice Headmaster Han Mo of the School of the Emperor Star. Following behind them were powerful cultivators from the Nando clan. When Sha Feng saw the corpses of his people scattered on the ground, his expression darkened. How did things turn out this way? How was Nando Wenyan capable of this? Where was his son? Sha Feng looked through the sea of bodies but could not find Sha Fan. Finally, his eyes fell on the sight before him. His heart squeezed violently. Shaking with every step he took, he walked over to the head. On its face was a look of indescribable fear. The intent of sword erupted from Sha Feng. Han Mo and members of Nando clan were frozen with shock. What had happened? There shouldn't have been any problems in taking down Nando Wenyan and Yi Futian with such a powerful lineup. Could someone have come to their aid? "My condolences, Brother Sha. What's important now is to find the person who did this and avenge your son," said Han Mo. Sha Feng tried to contain his pain. With a bloodthirsty look on his face, he felt the fluctuations in the air and said, "The fluctuations of spiritual chi have yet to dissipate. They couldn't have gotten far. They must have gone back to the Gukan Gardens. Let's go after them." Han Mo blinked and realized that Sha Feng had a point. "All right, we will definitely make them pay for this. An eye for an eye," he said. "When I catch him, I'll definitely kill him and his whole family, everyone related to him," said Sha Feng. His voice was demon-like and sent shivers down the back of others. Afterward, he was lifted into the air and in the blink of an eye, he transformed into the shadow of a sword. Boom! An explosion sounded from afar. In the skies, a golden light approached at an incredible speed. It was impossible to tell what it was. It was just too fast, faster than their perception. "Be careful!" screamed Han Mo. The golden light descended from the skies above. Boom! Another loud noise sounded. The ground cracked open. Han Mo and the others looked down onto the ground, only to see Sha Fan. The man that had just been in the air seconds ago, now had a long golden spear stuck in his body. The spear had pierced directly through his body, nailing Sha Feng into the ground. The powerful Sha Feng have no idea who had attacked him. Sha Feng's eyes rounded as he continued to spit up blood. He couldn't move, being nailed into the ground. His hands were still shaking. In the moment, he was no longer thinking of revenge. All he felt was pain and hopelessness. Han Mo and the members of the Nando clan were shaking in their shoes. What was going on? Not far ahead, there seemed to be a figure coming closer. The figure seemed to be moving very slowly, but in the blink of an eye, he had gotten much closer to the group. It was a white-haired elder. His hunched body made him look very old. He came closer with his hands behind his back. Upon seeing the elder, everyone shook with fear. "Did the elder do this? Whose family are you guys trying to kill?" asked the elder. His eyes fell towards Sha Feng and the group led by Han Mo. "Senior, who are you?" asked Han Mo with a tremor in his voice. "Me." The elder looked at Han Mo and a scary windstorm hit. A dim golden light was hidden in the eye of the storm, moving towards Han Mo and the rest. "Run!" shouted Han Mo. He tried to escape by flying but stopped when he saw the storm form into an all-consuming black hole. It pulled them into the storm. Everything in the area was a mess. The black hole storm kept pulling people in. "Senior, who on earth are you? Why are you doing this?" asked a member of the Nando clan. The elder stood quietly. He made no movements and just looked at the clan member and said, "The person you are trying is my young master." The clan member was shocked. He shook his head. That's not possible. If Yi Futian came from such a strong background, why did he come to Donghai City without his family? Why did he want to study at Donghai Academy? Why did he study music from the Gukun Devil? Han Mo suddenly thought back to when Yi Futian spoke into thin air at the Nando Palace. At that time, everyone thought his actions were peculiar, but now, everything made sense. What the elder said might actually be true. Han Mo's heart was pounding. Senior, we're just following the Emperor's orders. We don't really want to cause any harm to Yi Futian. Please forgive us, begged Han Mo. He felt desperate. If he had known that such a scary character was protecting Yi Futian, he never would have taken part in any of this. The Emperor's order. What's that? Asked the elder. He looked at Han Mo. Han Mo had a feeling that the almighty Emperor amounted to nothing in the eyes of the elder. You said that my young master is being chased down and sentenced to death because he defied the Emperor's imperial order. So, what should be the punishment for killing my young master? The elder continued to ask. Han Mo's face paled. Defying the imperial order was a capital offense, but if Yi Futian was of a higher power than the emperor of the Nando nation, then what would the punishment for trying to kill Yi Futian be? There could only be death. Can you explain this situation to me before I die? Han Mo had lost all hope. All right, nodded the elder. My young master is. When the elder finished what he had to say, Sha Feng, Han Mo, and the members of the Nando clan were all in deep shock. They had just received some inconceivable news. That's impossible, shouted a clan member. How was this possible? How on earth was this even possible? Who had the Nando clan rejected? You shall all die now, said the elder. The fearsome storm continued to pull everyone in, consuming the group of people from the East Sea Prefecture. They had no way of withstanding its power. The bodies were crushed into ashes. The same went for Sha Feng, who was still pinned to the ground. The long spear returned to its original form of spiritual qi and disappeared. If things were like this, then why didn't you make your move back at the Nando Palace? Screamed Han Mo. The elder slowly lifted his head to look at the sky, then he sighed heavily. The one who wants the crown, bears the crown. After these words, the storm washed over everything in the area. Han Mo, Sha Feng, and the group of Nando clan members were no more. The only thing that remained was their ashes, becoming one with the dust. The elder spun around and kneeled down facing the direction Yi Futian had departed in. He bowed, his forehead meeting with the ground. Indeed, it was he who told Yi Futian to go to the Nando Palace. How could Yi Futian allow anyone to touch his woman? But the elder never came out to help Yi Futian. Even when Sha Feng caught up to him, he did not reveal himself. Unless Yi Futian was actually going to die, he had no plans in doing so. He knew that this resulted in injuries and deaths, but what was a little sacrifice? On the road to greatness, Yi Futian needed to learn what the meaning of courage, responsibility, hardship, pain, and even hopelessness was. He had to understand that he could rely on no one but himself. In order to control everything, he needed the ultimate power. Even if Yi Futian were to hate him for his ruthlessness, the elder would have no regrets. He was willing to be the bad guy and carry the sin. He did all of this because this was his duty. Year 10,000 of the Divine Prefecture calendar was about to end. Yi Futian should have grown up by now. The elder believed that there would be a day that Yi Futian would become the brightest, most outstanding existence in all of the Divine Prefectures of the East. There would be no other like him because he was their child. Slowly, he rose from the ground and in a flash, the elder disappeared from where he once stood. So quick, as if he was never there. Not long after his departure, a group of people arrived. Confusion filled their faces as they looked around at the bodies on the ground. They saw people headed in this direction and then witnessed fog emitting from this area. The fog was so thick, they were unable to see what went on. What on earth had happened here, and who were these corpses on the ground? A group of powerful cultivators arrived at the Nando Palace. And their leader, Minister Zuo. When Minister Zuo saw the condition the celebration venue was in, his expression darkened. To the small group of people who had remained at the venue, Minister Zuo asked, "What happened here? Where are Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu?" The members of the Nando clan already knew who he was. They bowed and replied, Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu disobeyed the order of the emperor, so Minister Hua and the members of our clan are hunting them down. Minister Zuo's heart pounded. Was he really too late? Are they hurt? Minister Zuo asked. Yi Futian's injuries were minor, but Hua Jieyu threatened suicide, so her condition can't be too good, answered a clan member. Hearing these words, Minister Zuo knew that things had gotten to the point of no return. He lifted his head to look up at the sky and suddenly burst into laughter. I attempted to change fate, but, in the end, it was all for nothing. He did his best to aid Emperor Luo, but it was difficult to know what the emperor was truly thinking. Minister Zuo had previously told the fortune of the nation, and it was determined that the nation was destined for failure and the emperor's position was unstable. Then, after he found out about the emperor's imperial order, he told another fortune and knew that blood would be spilled. Emperor Luo's imperial order had not changed the fate of Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu, but the fate of Nando Nation instead. Chapter 106 Goal. Chapter 106 Goal. In the Gukan Gardens, Yu Sheng and the others waited anxiously. Right now, the car was ready with demons to pull it. Tang Lan had prepared it. After arranging everything here, she went to aid them and coincidentally ran into the three being pursued. Several figures dropped from the sky. It was Nando Wenyan, Yi Futian, and Hua Jieyu. When Hua Fengliu saw that his wife and daughter were there, his heart trembled. Holding on to Yu Sheng, he tried to get up and walk to them. Jieyu, what's wrong? Hua Fengliu asked when he saw Yi Futian holding her. Dad, I'm okay. Hua Jieyu smiled at Hua Fengliu. Where's my father? Yi Qingshan asked Yi Futian. She didn't see Yi Shang anywhere. Other than him, everyone else was back. Senior Yi helped me stop the pursuers. He has high cultivation and won't have any problems, Yi Futian said to Yi Qingshan, seeming to comfort himself while comforting her. How can Headmaster Yi stop Minister Hua and the others? How did you all come back? Hua Fengliu asked. Yi Shang and Yi Futian couldn't bring the women back by themselves. Master, Grandmaster. Yi Futian's eyes were red and he felt depressed. Hua Fengliu's insides trembled. Understanding instantly, he thought of the past and looked up to the heavens, tears in his eyes. His master had used his life to save Hua Fengliu's disciple, wife, and daughter. There's no time for tears. Let's go, Tang Lan said. They all knew she was speaking the truth. Hua Fengliu nodded. Pushing aside Yu Sheng, he knelt onto the ground and kowtowed to the distance. He hated that he was powerless and that his master had died for him. Yi Futian walked up. He handed Hua Jieyu to Nando Wenyan and knelt down as well, kowtowing toward where his grandmaster had last been. Grandmaster, I will go to the school of the Emperor Star to find you in the future, Yi Futian said. Then he helped Hua Fengliu up and walked toward the car. After everyone climbed onto the demon and car, Tang Lan asked, where to now? To the East Sea first, Yi Futian said. The East Sea was boundless and going there was definitely the best choice. What about my father? Yi Qingshan's eyes were red. She was extremely worried. It's actually easier for Senior Yi to escape alone. He'll be okay, Yi Futian assured her again. Yi Qingshan nodded. She knew they couldn't remain any longer. At this time, Yu Sheng grasped her hand with his big hand, giving her strength. Then the demon jumped into the air and pulled the car through the clouds. After they left, Minister Hua and Nantutai arrived at the Gukan Gardens with their men. Seeing the empty garden, Minister Hua's face darkened. Where's Sha Feng and Han Mo? He asked coldly. They probably continued chasing. Earlier, Yi Shang had stopped me, but Han Mo and Sha Feng continued on. I don't think there should be any problems, School of the Emperor Star Headmaster Yan Xiao said. Then what's with all those bodies beside the road? Minister Hua's voice was frigid. He had seen Sha Fan's body and Sha Feng's men. There were even people at the Arcana Plain who had died. According to Yan Xiao, Yi Shang was busy with him. Of those who had continued fleeing, only Nando Wenyan was at the Arcana Plain. How could they have killed all those men? Furthermore, Han Mo, Sha Feng, and the Nando clan had all been chasing after them. Unless someone was helping them in the background. We can only wait for Han Mo and Sha Feng's news now, Nando Tai said. He looked unwell too. If the youth survived, he would definitely take revenge for everything that happened today. In addition, Only he knew what Minister Zuo's prediction of Hua Jieyu's fate was. Earlier, when the decree had come, he had mistakenly thought that the Empress' fate meant becoming the queen. When he saw Yi Futian's brilliance, he thought of the minister's decree given to Yi Futian and realized he was wrong. Go, instate citywide control and plant men at all the exits, especially in the sky, Minister Hua ordered. However, he knew deep down that if Sha Feng and Han Mo couldn't keep up, it would be very hard to capture them. If they'd really escaped, he wouldn't be able to answer to Emperor Luo. Minister Hua had come to deal with two youths himself, but they'd escaped. He would be too ashamed to report this. They waited for a long time, but Han Mo and Sha Feng didn't return. The Nando clan members were gone too, as if they'd vanished. When night fell, Nando Tai returned to his home, Yan Xiao returned to the Donghai Academy, while Minister Hua went to Sha Feng's house. Still, there was no news of him. Nando Tai learned from his clan members that Minister Zuo had visited. After hearing what happened, he had left while laughing wildly. He'd sighed that fate couldn't be changed and took his men back to the imperial city. This made Nando Tai feel as if a huge boulder was weighing down on his heart. Not only would there be no crown princess, but the Nando clan had also lost Hua Jieyu. Because of Hua Jieyu's refusal, Emperor Luo would probably be angered by the Nando clan too. This was why Minister Hua forced him to make a prompt decision. He must do the immoral thing of killing his family so the emperor wouldn't find him disloyal. The big figures who had come to congratulate them had already returned to their houses. They'd also heard that Minister Hua hadn't caught the three and found it odd. How could Yi Futian escape from a group as formidable as Minister Hua's? This was not something that followed logic. On the last day of year 10,000 of the divine calendar, unpredictable events happened in Donghai City. Minister Hua had come with the emperor's decree to the Nando clan to make Hua Jieyu the crown princess. Everyone had gone to congratulate them. They all thought that the Nando clan would return to the stage of the Nando kingdom, rather than being stuck in Donghai City. However, there was a change. A 17-year-old youth broke in, displayed ultimate glory with twin spirits and full elemental talent. Not only did he go against the royal order, he tried to convince the Nando clan to do the same. The Nando clan decided to kill him once and for all. He should have died, but he left with his life. Minister Hua couldn't catch him. Finally, he took away Hua Jieyu, who should have become crown princess. No one knew where he would go, but everyone knew that one day, he would return. Year 10,001 came. The first day of the new year, countless rumors spread throughout Donghai Academy. Apparently, Crown Princess Hua Jieyu almost committed suicide for Yi Futian. Apparently, the genius who had fought before the school of the Emperor Star had twin spirits and cultivated all elements. He had defeated all the strong figures under the Dharma rank, and even Zhou Qing couldn't fight him. He'd always been hiding his true abilities in Donghai Academy. They also heard that Elder Qin of the school of the Emperor Star had played his last song to save Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. The Emperor Star would no longer Elder Qin. Yi Shang had gone against the royal order for Yi Futian too. Sha Fan, son of East Sea Prefecture Chief Sha Feng, had been killed by execution. Sha Feng was gone, as well as school of the Emperor Star Vice Headmaster Han Mo and countless strong men of the Nando clan. Yesterday, it was as if a terrifying storm had swept through Donghai City. This storm ended with Yi Futian and others disappearing. Outside Donghai Academy, two beautiful figures stood there, gazing at the academy. It was Lin Shui and Xiao He. Yesterday, Lin Shui's father had been at the Nando clan too and witnessed everything. I can't believe his talent is that high. Xiao He sighed. After hearing what had happened, the two girls were all shaken. I plan on attending Donghai Academy's spring quarter examinations and enter to cultivate, Lin Shui said. Why do you suddenly want to go to Donghai Academy? Xiao He asked in confusion. After the spring quarter examinations, the imperial city will hold the Tingfeng banquet, Lin Shui said calmly. The students of Donghai Academy will attend, and I want to go see too. There was another reason she didn't say aloud. If she cultivated at the academy and he returned one day, she would see him. Oh, the Tingfeng banquet. Wouldn't all the geniuses of the 36 academies of Nando Kingdom go? I wonder how many there will be. Anticipation filled Xiaohe's eyes. But if he didn't leave, he would definitely shine the most brilliantly at the banquet. Of course. Lin Shui nodded lightly. Based off of his talent displayed yesterday, it would be hard to find someone who could beat him in the Nando Kingdom. He had twin spirits, a full elemental talent that included the spiritual element, extremely powerful martial arts cultivation, and was a strong music sorcerer. Lin Shui never thought that the Sunshine Boys she met on a ship would be so amazing. At the same time, there was another ship in the East Sea. A group stood at the bow. Their clothing fluttered in the sea breeze. This group with an extraordinary presence was Yi Futian and the others. A demon descended from the sky. The black wind eagle landed before Yi Futian. Yi Futian walked forward and said to Yi Qingshan, who was at the front, "I sent the black wind eagle to investigate the situation in Donghai City. I'm sure Senior Yi is okay. Don't worry." "Okay." Yi Qingshan nodded, though she was still worried. "Futian, where do you plan on going to?" Tang Lan came up and asked. Yi Futian gazed at the endless sea. "Does Nando have any neighboring rivals?" he asked. "If you go north from the East Sea, you'll arrive at the border of the East Sea Prefecture," Tang Lan said. "That is the border with Kangye Kingdom. The two kingdoms are rivals with war at year 300. Then let's go north." Yi Futian gazed in that direction and said, "We'll go to the imperial city of Kangye Kingdom." He had planned on attending the Tingfeng banquet of Nando, but Emperor Luo's decree had ruined everything. Since he could not stay in Nando Kingdom, he would go to the imperial city of Kangye Kingdom. "Okay." Tang Lan nodded. With the shocking talent Yi Futian had displayed yesterday, there were no worries of finding a place to establish himself. It would be easy to find support if he searched for it. Choosing Kangye Kingdom, he was obviously going in order to take revenge on Nando Kingdom. Chapter 107 Kangye College. Chapter 107 Kangye College. 1 month later, in the imperial city of the Kangye Kingdom, the city of Kangye. The city of Kangye had no city walls. It centered around the imperial palace and spread out wide and far in all directions. Thus, the city was expansive. Presently, on the outskirts of the city, many large beasts soared through the skies. There were also powerful cultivators riding on their swords, and some even had wings on their backs. The sky above Kangye City was an incredible sight. Countless cultivators had gathered in the city from all over the Kangye Kingdom. Among the beasts in the skies, was a winged demon tiger pulling a carriage. On this white tiger's back stood several figures. The two people at the front were around 17 years of age. One was unbelievably handsome and one was exceedingly beautiful. These two youngsters were Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu, who had traveled a long way. Behind them were Yu Sheng and Yi Qingshan. Inside the carriage sat Hua Fengliu, Nando Wenyan, Tang Lan and Tang Wan. Tang Lan's eldest disciple, Ni Bing, had her own home. That day in Donghai City, she left the Gukan Gardens. After all that had happened in the city of Donghai, Yi Futian was no longer the happy-go-lucky young man he once was. And after that day the light of an emperor dawned upon him. His aura had experienced a slight change. Different from before, he had gotten even more handsome and more charismatic. "We're finally here," muttered Yi Futian. Kangye Kingdom's imperial city was massive in comparison to Donghai City. This ancient city had a rich history and majestic architecture. From the exterior of the buildings, you could not tell that it had been around for ages. They were ancient but dignified, which made the mood throughout the entire city more solemn. "Yeah," Hua Jieyu nodded in agreement. "Once upon a time, when Master, Yu Sheng, and I first arrived at Donghai City standing atop the Black Wind Eagle, I had wanted to conquer the city. But in return, that city has left me with memories I shall never forget." Yi Futian smiled lightly and said in a self-ridiculing way as he observed the vast imperial city ahead. In the time it took the group to arrive in Kangye City, Hua Jieyu's injuries had healed, but their wounded hearts would never heal from the events in Donghai City, especially for Yi Futian. Emperor Luo's imperial order, being hunted down by Minister Hua and the school of the Emperor Star, the Nando clan's choice, and Grand Master. All of it was deeply engraved into his memory, unable to forget even if he tried. Hearing Yi Futian's words, Hua Jieyu reached out her hand and held tightly onto Yi Futian's. Her eyes remained up ahead and filled with determination. She was not going to forget about anything that happened in Donghai City either. They were able to make it here today because of Grandmaster's sacrifice. Yi Futian could feel the warmth that radiated from Hua Jieyu's hand and tightened his grip on it. He had originally planned to go to the Nando Nation's imperial city, but now, they had arrived at Kangye Kingdom's imperial city. Yi Futian was not going to allow history to replay itself here. The sharp sword that Hua Jieyu pierced through her own body, Grandmaster's selfless sacrifice, brought him pain to this day. Tang Wan stepped out of the carriage and took a look at the majestic city below. The skies were still crowded. She asked, "Futian, where are you planning to go?" "Kangye College," Yi Futian said without a hint of hesitation. It was evident that he came with a plan in mind. Kangye College was similar to the academies in the Nando Nation. Its status was equivalent to Nando Academy located in the Nando Nation's imperial city. The college was backed by the royal family. Many genius cultivators attended this school. Even disciples of the royal family cultivated at the college. However, Yi Futian was not going there to attend school but for the grand event being held soon in the imperial city. The Fenghua Banquet. The Fenghua Banquet was an imperial banquet. The emperor of the Kangye Kingdom would come personally to examine the abilities of younger generation cultivators. If it had not been for Emperor Luo's imperial order, Yi Futian should have been preparing to attend the Tingfeng banquet in the Nando Nation's imperial city. But life was unpredictable. He was now in the Nando Nation's rival country, the Kangye Kingdom, preparing to attend the Fenghua banquet. Kangye College was the place to sign up for the Fenghua banquet. Many of the people in the skies right now had younger cultivators with them. They had most definitely came for the same reason as Yi Futian. Hearing that Yi Futian was headed for Kangye College, Tang Lan understood his intentions. She said, "Are you guys planning on participating? The Fenghua banquet has an age limitation. Participants must be under the age of 20. This means that quite a few young genius cultivators in the Dharma Plain may show up." To travel all the way from Donghai City to the Kangye Kingdom's imperial city, it was obvious that the group knew something. "I know," answered Yi Futian. He continued, "Those picked by the emperor at the banquet will be put on the Fenghua rank. The top 10 people on the list will all be rewarded and the top 3 can request one thing from the emperor. As long as the request is within reason, he usually grants it." "What request do you want to make?" asked Tang Lan. Yi Futian turned back to take a look at Hua Fengliu in the carriage and said, "I want him to restore Master's powers." A spark reached Tang Lan's eyes. If Yi Futian was able to make this request, with the Kangye Emperor's abilities, he would definitely be able to find a way to do it. Even though the list is determined purely based on the Emperor's liking, and has nothing to do with how strong and powerful you are, you won't be able to stand out in the crowd if you don't have extraordinary abilities. It will be difficult to rank in the top 3 unless you're prepared to expose all of your gifts, said Tang Lan. "I must make it into the top 3, Yi Futian said with determination in his eyes. The emperor of the Nando Nation wanted to kill him without reason, but now in the Kangye Kingdom, even if Yi Futian revealed his gifts, the Kangye emperor would only praise him. Besides, the Fenghua banquet was a place to test the skills of junior cultivators. Elder Qin had already passed and Hua Fengliu was not yet healed. This was a chance he could not give up. "Okay," nodded Tang Lan. Yi Futian looked determined enough to succeed. "I will also participate with you," Hua Jieyu said softly. "Fox, you're too pretty. Isn't it flaunting too much?" Yi Futian examined Hua Jieyu's beauty. At 17, her beauty was in full bloom. "Screw you." Hua Jieyu glared at him. The conversation was so serious before, but Yi Futian turned it into a joke in the span of seconds. However, deep down, Hua Jieyu was glad. On the entire trip, Yi Futian looked so solemn, not like the happy jokester he used to be. It was obvious that he was deeply affected by the things in the city of Donghai. She wanted to see him go back to his true self. Even though he acted shameless at times, she liked him that way. "I want to participate too." Standing in the back, Yu Sheng finally opened his mouth. "Of course," said Yi Futian. The white tiger demon continued forward. Yi Futian did not land to ask for directions. He simply followed the group in the skies. The direction in which the most people were traveling must be the direction where Kangye College was located. There was no question about it. Kangye College was located in the center of the city, near the imperial palace. It could be said to be a true school of nobility. Even princes and princesses cultivated at the college. To be able to attend this school, students had to have gifts out of the ordinary, or else, even if you were a noble, you were not allowed to attend Kangye College. The school had the royal family backing it and had no reason to care about what others thought. In the skies outside of the Kangye College, beasts, cultivators riding their swords, and those flying with the help of their own wings were all gathered together. There were so many people. The Fenghua banquet would begin in 3 days, but people were still coming to sign up at Kangye College. Finally, Yi Futian and his group had also arrived. It was just as he had imagined. A variety of cultivators were present. He had never seen many of the beasts in the sky. They looked fearsome. There were even beasts of the Arcana plane. Yi Futian wanted to wait until he had higher cultivation and use his ability as a beastmaster to control some powerful beasts. The beasts and cultivators finally landed when they had reached Kangye College. There was no one who dared to enter the school premises by air. Yi Futian and the others also landed. He noticed the thin chiffon Hua Jiu used to cover her face, hiding her beauty. "Looks like you know just how distracting your looks are," laughed Yi Futian. Hua Jiu ignored him. Yi Futian turned back to look at Yi Qingshan and Tang Wan. "Qingshan, Wan, do you guys want to attend the Fenghua banquet as well?" "No." Yi Qingshan shook her head. "Me neither." Tang Wan smiled. Both girls knew that they were still lacking and nothing would come of attending the banquet. Yi Futian nodded and said, "Then you guys should first find some place to stay nearby. I'll have the Black Wind Eagle go with you guys." "Okay. Be careful, Futian," ordered Nando Wenyan. "I'll be fine, Masteress." Yi Futian smiled. After, he, Hua Jiu, and Yu Sheng walked towards Kangye College. As soon as they set foot on the campus, they saw many people headed in the same direction. In that direction, sat a line of elders making records. There were many people in line ahead of the trio waiting to sign up for the banquet. They stepped closer to the lines in front of the tables where the elders sat, and a little while later, it was their turn. They walked up to the empty table. The elder sat at the table. He was still writing. Moments later, he lifted his head and said, "Name, age, level of cultivation, occupation class." "Yi Futian, 17, 7-starred glory plane, musical sorcerer," said Yi Futian. On the day of the battle, he stepped into a new plane. "Hua Jiu, 17, 7-starred glory plane, spiritual sorcerer," said Hua Jiu. "Yu Sheng, 17, 7-starred glory plane, martial arts cultivator." The three of them were all on the same plane now. The elder looked up at the three of them. He was amazed that their age and level of cultivation were all the same. He then handed them each a wooden bookmark. On the bookmark was the information they had just given. From the side, came a young lady. She smiled and said, "Come with me." The young lady was wearing a school uniform. Before the Fenghua banquet, the students of Kangye College were in charge of taking care of everything. "Thank you," said Yi Futian. The trio followed the young lady. She looked to be about 18 years old. She was very pretty. "My name is Sen Shaw," the girl said. She took a couple of extra glances at Yi Futian. She had seen many handsome males at the college, but it was rare to find someone who looked like Yi Futian. A woman's sixth sense was very accurate. Beside Yi Futian, Hua Jiu took Yi Futian's hand. Sen Shaw took a quick look and smiled at Hua Jiu. "This girl is interesting," thought Sen Shaw. Even though Yi Futian was attractive, as a student of Kangye College she was not going to fangirl over him. Besides, as a 7-starred glory plane musical sorcerer, Yi Futian could not compare to Bai Chu of the Qin clan who had entered Kangye College a short while ago. Chapter 108 Bai Chu of the Qin clan. Chapter 108 Bai Chu of the Qin clan. In Kangye Kingdom, other than Kangye College, there were also a few powerful clans who trained accomplished disciples as well. They definitely would not miss out on the Fenghua banquet. The Qin clan was a force of Kangye Kingdom known for their studies of the Guqin. There were not many disciples because only musical sorcerers could be accepted. This was also why the strongest musical sorcerers of the kingdom were grouped in the Qin clan. Bai Chu was the most talented of the Qin clan's younger generation. Apparently, He had already entered the Dharma plane and had an unbeatable talent. Not long ago, Bai Chu had led the disciples of the Qin clan to the Kangye College. Sen Sha had seen Bai Chu with her own eyes and saw the youth was extremely handsome. Therefore, someone who was only a 7-star glory plane musical sorcerer and not from the Qin clan would only be there to enhance the others at the Fenghua banquet by contrast, even if he could pass the pretest. Even the other disciples of the Qin clan seemed better than this youth beside him, let alone Bai Chu. Of course, Sen Sha wouldn't say all this. She just smiled and led the way, saying, "The pretest of the Fenghua banquet will be administered by the Kangye College. I am taking you all to the exam site now." Yi Futian nodded. Since they knew about the Fenghua banquet, they had naturally done some research. The Fenghua banquet was the imperial examination and it was not open to everyone. After applying, they had to pass the pretest held by the Kangye College to truly be qualified to attend the Fenghua banquet. The Kangye College checked the credentials for the emperor. The leaf court of the Kangye College was now filled with all sorts of talent. They had all applied for the Fenghua banquet. Many were gathered here for the pretest as it was one of the exam sites. In the center, there was a podium. There were 2 figures fighting on it now, both applicants of the banquet. 3 elders of the Kangye College sat before the podium. "I'll help you hand the bookmark in," Sen Sha said to Yi Futian with a smile. Yi Futian nodded and gave the bookmark to him. Then, Yi Futian saw Sen Sha take one out too and put them together. Sen Sha, 9-star glory plane, sorcerer. "I will attend the Fenghua banquet too," Sen Sha said. She introduced herself again while eyeing Hua Jieyu, and then walked towards the elders. Hua Jieyu's gaze was calm. She knew Sen Sha told her for a reason but she didn't care. She had held Yi Futian's hand earlier not because she wasn't confident in herself but because she knew how attractive Yi Futian was to girls. The 2 fighting on the podium were both of the 8-star glory plane. One was a sorcerer while the other was a martial artist. However, Yi Futian discovered something strange. Right now, most of the audience's attention was not on the fighters. Instead, they focused on the other side. There was a group of people dressed in white. They seemed untainted by the world. That's the Qin clan. The strongest musical sorcerers of Kangye Kingdom are from that clan. As the middle one Bai Chu. He truly is handsome. The people around them all discussed the clan. Yi Futian was intrigued that the Kangye Kingdom had a Qin clan and apparently produced the best musical sorcerers. He looked over at the handsome and slender young man in the center of the group. He looked around 18 or 19. His aura was extraordinary and he stood out like a stork amongst chickens. At this time, someone walked to Bai Chu. He wore the uniform of the college. The 2 smiled and chatted, seemingly ignoring the fight on the podium. After handing in the bookmark, Sen Sha returned to Yi Futian's group. She saw Yi Futian looking in Bai Chu's direction and smiled. That's the Qin clan. Bai Chu is the most accomplished of their younger generation. He's apparently in the Dharma plane now. He's a musical sorcerer like you and the one beside him is my senior from the college, Yu Zhong. He's also in the Dharma plane. The 2 of them are the most popular candidates for the Fenghua rank. Who else is included? Yi Futian asked. Sen Sha glanced at Yi Futian. She thought that he was probably not from the imperial city. Otherwise, he would definitely know about these things. There are some others. If you can pass the pretest and attend the Fenghua banquet, you'll meet them, Sen Sha smiled and said without going into detail. Yi Futian was only at the 7-star glory plane. Knowing all that was meaningless because he was nowhere near their level. Oh, Yi Futian knew that Sen Sha wasn't willing to say more. He nodded and stopped talking, watching the fight quietly. People went up continuously. After a long while, Yu Sheng was finally called up. Yu Sheng walked to the podium. Another figure stood before him. He was also a 7-star glory plane but he was a sorcerer. The fight would display their true abilities clearly. "Attack me with your best efforts first," Yu Sheng said. He knew the other was a 7-star glory plane sorcerer. If the opponent was defeated before performing, he would be disqualified no matter how great his talent was. "You can go first." The opponent smiled confidently. Hearing this, Yu Sheng didn't hold back. He took a step and the podium shook. His composure changed in an instant, stunning the sorcerer. The sorcerer's spiritual chi began to gather crazily and the apparition of a golden tiger appeared behind him. Then it roared and ripped toward Yu Sheng with shocking power. Yu Sheng punched forward. There were countless shadows that tore apart the golden tiger's image. The powerful force ripped through everything and landed on the opponent, sending him flying. Seeing this, the Kangye College elders made a checkmark on Yu Sheng's bookmark and put it to the side. At the same time, one said, "Yu Sheng, passed." Yu Sheng stepped down. The one who had been forced off the podium climbed up and glared at Yu Sheng. He left with resentment. Clearly, he had lost the ability to attend the Fenghua banquet. "Your friend is quite strong," Sen Shao said to Yi Futian with a smile. Yi Futian didn't reply. Yu Sheng was way beyond quite strong. This was just the pretest, so there was no need to show off everything. After that, Hua Jieyu was called up. Her opponent was a warrior of the same plane. Though her face was veiled, her eyes were beautiful, and she had a perfect figure and presence. Many people were attracted immediately, thinking that she was definitely a beauty. "After you," Hua Jieyu said to the youth. She didn't say much, but a burst of powerful spiritual energy bloomed. The opponent felt something and moved toward Hua Jieyu quickly. However, at the same time, an invisible power was blocking him. Then, wood element spiritual chi gathered into a spell and wrapped around him. Boom! Powerful strength burst forth. The opponent burst free from the entanglement like a wild demon. At this time, spears appeared before Hua Jieyu. They kept stabbing toward the opponent, who roared and stopped. His battle intent burst and attacked the spears coming at him. Simultaneously, he stepped forward and flew into the sky. He soared at Hua Jieyu like an eagle. Seriousness flashed past Hua Jieyu's eyes. She stepped forward. It was only one step, but the opponent seemed to stop in midair. Vines curled up toward him and slammed him to the ground. "Okay, both pass." The Kangye College elder nodded and put away their bookmarks, meaning both had passed the pretest. The defeated one was upset because he had been confident he could win in the pretest. He hadn't expected to meet someone so extraordinary. "May I see your true appearance?" He stood up and asked politely. Hua Jieyu glanced at him and turned to leave the podium. She returned to Yi Futian's side. Many looked at Hua Jieyu in shock. She was so arrogant. Yi Futian, Mo Jiyu. It was Yi Futian's turn now. He walked up to the podium. The one opposite him was clad in white. He was from the Qin clan. Clearly, the Kangye College elder thought that if Yi Futian couldn't even beat a random Qin clan disciple, he had no need to attend the Fenghua banquet. The two sat down with crossed legs and released their Gukan spirits. This attracted many gazes. In the near distance, the Qin clan members looked over with interest. Music sounded at the same time. Ji Yu Mo's music was wild like a tide of 10,000 beasts. The sound of galloping in the air was terrifying. It was like a wave of demons was charging at Yi Futian. Yi Futian's music was calm, graceful, and lovely. It seemed to be reminiscing someone from the past. As his music flowed out, the formless demons charging at him were gradually tamed. Then Yi Futian's music changed abruptly. It turned sharp like an unsheathed sword. It cut everything and the beasts wailed. Ji Yu Mo's music was in disarray, no longer strong and wild. His spiritual energy was in a mess and his music was disordered too. With a huff, the Qin spirit disappeared. Yi Futian, pass, the elder announced. Ji Yu Mo was defeated just like that. The Qin clan members were surprised. Their fellow disciple was disqualified from the banquet. Such pure music and extraordinary mindset. This boy is talented, Bai Chu praised. Then he asked from across the arena, "Where do you cultivate? Do you have a clan?" Yi Futian looked up at Bai Chu. He smiled and said, "I cultivate with my master and have not entered a clan. The Qin clan is the most prestigious for musical sorcery in Kangye Kingdom. Are you willing to join us?" Bai Chu smiled at Yi Futian. "If you are willing, I can recommend you. I am lacking a Gukan student." Everyone present was shocked. It seemed that Bai Chu thought highly of this musical sorcerer and had invited him directly into the Qin clan. He was even willing to let the youth study with him. A Gukan student was someone who would follow him and could learn from him at any time. If Yi Futian could follow Bai Chu, this would be a great advantage for him as a musical sorcerer. Chapter 109 Lin Yuyao. Chapter 109 Lin Yuyao. Bai Chu's words immediately made Yi Futian the center of attention. Even though the two young men were the same, they both came in hopes of attending the Fenghua banquet. However, despite this, many people only signed up to attend the banquet for the experience. How many people could actually display outstanding skills? The Kangye Kingdom had no shortage of genius cultivators, and now, they were all gathered here in the imperial city, the city of Kangye. But in the end, only 10 people would be chosen by the emperor to be on the Fenghua rank. Bai Chu of the Qin clan, Zuo Qinfen and Yu Zhong of the Kangye College, the incredibly skilled young Lord Yi Wuchen from the Yi Palace, the Hua family's daughter, and Yun Di of the Demon clan. These people were the ones who would stand out the most at the Fenghua banquet. Of course, Kangye Kingdom's #1 beauty could not be forgotten. She was known as the one of peerless beauty. Because of this, when Bai Chu asked Yi Futian to be his musical attendant, no one thought of it as demeaning. As the Kangye Kingdom's most outstanding young man, Bai Chu was destined for a bright future. Even his musical attendant would have a chance to be a big shot in the future. This was an opportunity not everyone had. To offer Yi Futian such a position, it was evident that Bai Chu was impressed by his gifts. Even Sen Shao looked at Yi Futian in surprise. Yi Futian and his friends were all 7-starred glory plane cultivators. They came to sign up for the Fenghua banquet and each showed their impeccable gifts. If Yi Futian was able to follow Bai Chu into the Qin clan, it would only do him good. However, standing beside Sen Shao, Yu Sheng and Hua Jieyu did not think this way. They stared at Bai Chu, shocked. To them, who knew Yi Futian, Bai Chu's words were nothing but a joke. He wanted Yi Futian to be his musical attendant. Where did he get that confidence from? Yu Sheng could not help himself. Sen Shao glanced at Yu Sheng but did not say anything. On the battle platform, Yi Futian was taken aback. Sen Shao had said that Bai Chu was a prodigy from the Qin clan, a Dharma plane musical sorcerer. It was no wonder that he was so confident. Since the Qin clan is so well known in the Kangye Kingdom, then their musical sorcery should not be any less inferior to that of Elder Qin, but this did not mean that he would be willing to join the clan. He had only signed up for the Fenghua banquet as a musical sorcerer because of Elder Qin. He was not going to let the elder down. However, to become Bai Chu's music attendant. The meaning of these two words should be similar to that of a study attendant, a servant who takes care of others. I don't have such a habit, Yi Futian smiled at Bai Chu and calmly answered. Your music is pure and you possess an extraordinary mindset, but your music is still not perfect. It is obvious that you don't have a good teacher. Why not try it out? Said Bai Chu. His gaze was calm. In Bai Chu's opinion, if Yi Futian could cultivate under his guidance for a couple of years, he was bound to improve. This was his reason for extending such an offer. No need, chuckled Yi Futian. As a prodigy from the Qin clan, Bai Chu was indeed exceptional. What Yi Futian played on the guqin was not any specific musical piece but something he came up with on the spot. So, of course, it was not perfect. Bai Chu did not say much else. To him, this was only a small episode before the Fenghua banquet. Many of the females present looked toward Bai Chu and thought he was indeed a gentleman, just as the rumors had it. Yi Futian returned to stand beside his friends. Just then, Sen Shao's name was called. The trio was not in a rush to leave, so they decided to stay behind and watch Sen Shao's performance. It was an interesting duel. When Sen Shao stepped off the battle platform, Yi Futian gave her a compliment. You're very powerful. You guys are not so bad yourselves, smiled Sen Shao. All we have to do now is to show up outside of the imperial palace in 3 days to attend the Fenghua banquet, correct? Asked Yi Futian. That's right. In 3 days, everyone will gather for the banquet and the emperor will grace us with his presence, nodded Sen Shao. See you in 3 days, Yi Futian said his goodbye and left. Watching them leave, Sen Shao smiled. 3 days later, young cultivators from all over the kingdom would gather outside of the imperial palace. Even though Sen Shao had incredible gifts, she only wanted to participate in the banquet. She had no hopes of stealing the spotlight. Those 3 were mere 7-starred glory plane cultivators, so even if they had great gifts, they would only be heads in a crowd. Yi Futian followed the main road out of the Kangye College campus. Along the way, many more young cultivators arrived. He knew well and clear those who had the courage to sign up for the Fenghua banquet would not be too weak. Stepping out of Kangye College, there were many elders waiting outside. They had come from all over the kingdom with their juniors. Even if the younger cultivators were unable to become the star of the banquet, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. From the skies, a black wind eagle headed down for landing and stopped in front of Yi Futian and his friends. The three of them stepped onto the eagle and the creature lifted them away. Just as they took off, many others did so as well. They were all headed in one direction. There, a group of figures was approaching. They all seemed to be surrounding a single person. That person seemed to steal everyone's attention. Very quickly, the trio also had their attention stolen, looking over to the crowd in the skies. Far away, a magnificent purple gold rock soared through the sky. It was an arcana plane beast. Its entire body was enveloped in a purple golden light, its wings spread out wide, creating great winds every time it flapped its wings. Purple gold rock. Yi Futian's eyes sparkled. It was an extremely rare beast. The rock possessed powers of 3 elements: thunder and lightning, metal, and wind. The beast had great growth potential and fearsome speed as well as extremely powerful attack abilities. Rumors said that the purple gold rock was a distant relative to the golden rock and had the blood of the golden rock running through its veins. On the purple gold rock stood a beautiful young woman. She had an alluring body and beautiful skin. A sweet scent radiated from her person, and her eyes were captivating. In addition to the red dot in between her eyebrows, drawn on with cinnabar, she was a beauty only seen in drawings. So beautiful. Who is she? Asked someone in the skies. Kangye Kingdom's #1 beauty, Lin Yuyao, answered another, gaze never leaving the young woman. Lin Yuyao, also known as the Kangye Kingdom's #1 beauty, was at the most beautiful age of 18. Such a beautiful girl, Yi Futian complimented the nearing figure. Yeah, you like? Asked a voice beside him. Yi Futian turned his attention over to Hua Jieyu who was smiling at him. But she's still nowhere as beautiful as my fox. Yi Futian smiled. Hua Jieyu glared at him shyly, feeling satisfied with his answer. Although, she had to admit the young woman was indeed very beautiful. The purple gold rock called as it approached. The figure on its back looked towards Yi Futian and as if she could hear what he had said, she smiled. It was as if her eyes could speak. One look was enough to get one's heart beating. Fortunately, Yi Futian was used to this type of teasing from Hua Jieyu. Lin Yuyao's look had no effect on him. With countless eyes glued on her, Lin Yuyao landed and walked into Kangye College. Many people followed after her. I want that girl as my wife, said a young man. Everyone around him looked at him as if he were an idiot. He wanted to chase Lin Yuyao. What a dreamer. Maybe if he got on the Fenghua rank, Lin Yuyao would spare him a glance. Haven't gotten enough. Hua Jieyu laughed at Yi Futian whose gaze had followed Lin Yuyao. Fox, why don't you remove the veil? I wonder what kinds of expressions they will make when they find out that my girlfriend is way more beautiful in comparison to their #1 beauty. Yi Futian smiled. Hua Jieyu gave him a light pinch but, on the inside, she was melting at his words. He was such a sweet talker. Standing behind the couple, Yu Sheng averted his gaze. Yi Futian was still the same, shameless. The black wind eagle flapped its wings and flew away. Not long after, they arrived at a lodging nearby. In a court within the lodging, Hua Fengliu was basking in the sun. Nando Wenyan was with him. The two of them together was a beautiful sight. You guys came back so quickly. Did it go well? Asked Hua Fengliu. Yes, now we just have to wait 3 days for the start of the Fenghua banquet, nodded Yi Futian. Hua Fengliu and Nando Wenyan were not surprised. With Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, and Yu Sheng's gifts, any one of them would be able to make it past the preliminary round without any problems. Masteress, doesn't it feel like we're a family out on vacation? Parents, daughter, and son-in-law, smiled Yi Futian. Hua Fengliu laughed. It actually did feel that way. Then what am I? Just then, Tang Lan appeared and asked coldly. Yi Futian stood frozen. A concubine? Tang Lan asked Yi Futian. Yi Futian did not know what to say. Beside him, Yu Sheng threw him a look of pity, and walked over to Yi Qingshan. There was no right answer to her question. Tang Lan, if you're willing, I don't mind, said Nando Wenyan. Yi Futian blinked. Nando Wenyan was actually willing to agree to it. Yi Futian looked at Hua Fengliu and thought, Master's charisma is so much stronger than mine. Do you really think that's what I'm after? Tang Lan asked in a cold demeanor. Hua Fengliu coughed and glared at Yi Futian. Yi Futian chuckled and looked at Hua Jiu. She smiled and asked him, if I also don't mind you taking a concubine, would you want to? No, I only like you, answered Yi Futian. He wasn't stupid. If he had said yes, that would be the end of him. HMPH. Hua Jiu smiled lightly. That's more like it. Hua Fengliu and Nando Wenyan watched the young couple as they bickered, and a soft smile spread across their faces. After all that had happened in the city of Donghai, they knew how difficult it was for Yi Futian and Hua Jiu to be together. As parents, they only wished that the young couple could continue to stay by each other's side. All right, go cultivate now. The Fenghua banquet is only 3 days away. It will be gathering of the best in all of the Kangye kingdom. It won't be like how it was at Donghai Academy, said Hua Fengliu. Donghai Academy was only a prefecture academy in the Nando nation. Okay. Yi Futian nodded his head lightly. Naturally, he also understood that even though both his natural gifts and combat skills were very strong, amongst the people attending the Fenghua banquet, there would be many Dharma plane cultivators. He had to go above and beyond to get the emperor's attention. It was his only way of getting on the Fenghua rank. Chapter 110 Fenghua Banquet. Chapter 110. Fenghua Banquet. 3 days later, early morning. Yi Futian was practicing a fist form in the courtyard of the inn. His moves were slow, each punch seeming to contain an intriguing charm. His blood was bubbling through his body. One could faintly hear the rumbles, and amongst the rumbling blood, strands of the emperor's mark lit up. It transformed into an air current of the emperor, making his every move contain the emperor's intent. Currently, he was cultivating a set of methods. It was the one given to him by the emperor's will when he was forced into desperation that day. Yi Futian didn't know who created this set of methods or what it was called. Therefore, he named it himself, Imperial Tactics. It was a cliché name but very suitable. When he used this method, his blood would change and spread to every part of his body. It even affected his aura, making him imperial. In addition, every time he practiced this set, he would achieve something. Cultivating with Emperor Yi Qing's enhancement method, he could continuously strengthen his body. Even if he didn't use any spells, he would still be an extremely talented warrior. After training for a bit longer, Yi Futian stopped and looked at the sky. When do you plan on setting out? Tang Lan walked over and asked him. I'm going now. Aunt Tang, are you all going? Yi Futian asked. I'm not interested but your master wants to go. If I'm free, I'll go too, Tang Lan said indifferently. Yi Futian smiled without saying anything. This was how Tang Lan was. Then I'll call master and masteress to get going, Yi Futian said. After a short while, they grouped in the courtyard. Then they got onto the demon, soared into the sky, and left the inn. At the same time of their departure, demons and figures all over Kangye city shot into the sky. They were all going toward the same place, the palace. It seemed that all of the strong ones in the imperial city were in the sky at once. It was a shocking sight. As Yi Futian's group continued advancing, they could vaguely see the various glamorous buildings. It was the palace of Kangye Kingdom. They continued, getting closer and closer to the palace. Many others were around them and they all looked excited. Is this the Fenghua banquet? All the young talents of the kingdom are gathered here. I will definitely display my skills at the banquet and have the emperor notice me. I wonder how powerful the talents of the imperial city are like. I really anticipate it. Voices streamed from all directions. Countless people came, some from the imperial city, others from the various cities of the Kangye kingdom. They were all the cream of the crop. Otherwise, they wouldn't travel thousands of miles to attend the Fenghua banquet. Yi Futian followed the huge crowd forward. The Fenghua platform outside the palace was already in view. This was where the Fenghua banquet would be held. At this time, a line of figures clad in white floated across the air. They were so handsome. It's the Qin clan. Bai Chu is there. Many looked over at the Qin clan. They had to see Bai Chu, who was the most popular contender for the Fenghua rank in the imperial city. The powerful ones of the demon clan are also here. Many others looked to the back. There, they saw countless demons striding forward. In the center of the crowd was a youth. He was not yet 17 years old, but his face was filled with arrogance and aggressiveness. This was Yun Di, the most talented of the demon clan's younger generation. Lin Yuyao. At this time, a purple gold rock flew past with a beautiful figure atop it, attracting many gazes instantly. She was extremely talented and was also known as the #1 beauty of the Kangye kingdom. Probably no one was as attractive as her. Even Bai Chu of the Qin clan and many members of the demon clan couldn't help but look over at Lin Yuyao. Hua Fengliu and the others observed quietly. At the moment, Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, and Yu Sheng were not eye-catching. No one noticed them, but Hua Fengliu knew that at the end of the banquet, they would shine the brightest. They would overwhelm the pride of the Kangye city. Finally, they arrived at the Fenghua platform. Many guards stood around the majestic platform, keeping the order. This battle platform had a long history. It was where the emperor commanded the generals. It was also where the emperor tested the princes and officials. The emperor's royal seat was at an extremely high place directly before the Fenghua platform. It was very majestic. Nobody who came, whether it be those who rode demons or flew on their swords, dared to be higher than that position. It was where the emperor sat. Who dared to be higher than the emperor? Only the nobles and the most powerful talents of Kangye City were qualified to sit on either side of the royal seat. They had to be personally given the ability by the emperor to observe the Fenghua banquet with him. There were many outstanding men close to the royal seat. One of them was a youth. He gazed at the swarming crowd around the Fenghua platform. His cool gaze had a slight tinge of arrogance. Many attendees saw him too. Is that the young Lord Yi Wuchen? Many people murmured. Yi Wuchen was one of the most popular contenders for this year's Fenghua banquet. He had already entered the second level of the Dharma plane. It was difficult to find an opponent for him under the age of 20. Wuchen, you are a lord, but you still must display your strongest abilities today. His Majesty will not help you cheat, his father Lord Yi said beside him. I must win, Yi Wuchen said. Very resolute. Lord Yi smiled and nodded. As more and more people arrived, the sky and ground were all filled with people. The Fenghua banquet was the most important banquet of the Kangye kingdom. The entire kingdom paid attention to it. The skies outside the palace were not off limits on this day, so more people would witness the banquet. The sun rose and sunlight shone down, falling onto the royal seat. A line of carriages rode out from the palace. The emperor and empress sat in the center. Everyone stared as soon as they appeared. All the nobles besides the royal seat stood up. The figures sitting on their demons in the sky stood up too. They all looked in the direction of the carriage. The emperor, empress, princes, and princesses descended from the carriage and walked forward. The emperor sat in the royal seat. The empress, princes, and princesses sat behind him. Greetings, Your Majesty and Your Highness. The nobles all rose and greeted with a bow. After that, everyone else bowed down as well. The sound seemed to shake the world and was extremely spectacular. The emperor of Kangye Kingdom seemed to be around 30 years old. He was not handsome, but he had the aura of an emperor. Even when he smiled, he still looked distinguished. The empress was extremely beautiful. She was dressed glamorously but looked composed. She seemed to be around 25 years old but was much older than that. Her looks were comparable to Nando Wenyan. The emperor smiled and waved at everyone. Today is the Fenghua banquet. The stars are the young talents of our Kangye kingdom. There is no need for the formalities. Let us be relaxed. Thank you, Your Majesty. The people bowed once more. When the emperor took his seat, the others sat down as well. The Fenghua banquet is where all the pride of the younger generation is gathered. Here, I hope everyone will forget their concerns. No matter who you are, please display your skills to the fullest. I hope to see the most brilliant of the younger generation. If anyone runs into trouble in the imperial city due to their performance here, I will execute the culprit, even if he is a noble or a clan. The emperor spoke coolly, but his words were powerful. There would definitely be many who would display extraordinary talents at the Fenghua banquet. There would also definitely be those who earn hatred due to defeating a genius of a clan. Similarly, Others would be invited to join a group because of their amazing ability but reject the invitation, resulting in some consequences. The emperor could not tolerate these. This was the banquet he held personally. Anyone who dared to make trouble would be offending the emperor and must be punished accordingly. All the people from outside the imperial city were reassured by these words. They could display their talents to their fullest at the Fenghua banquet without any concern. The emperor was supporting them. In addition, I will name 10 people for the Fenghua rank. All will be rewarded. The top 3 can request something from me. Unless it is too harsh, I will fulfill your wishes, the emperor continued. Then he laughed and said, if you like any of the princes or princesses and wish to marry them, I might agree. With that, all the nobles laughed. Many looked to the princes and princesses beside the emperor. They were all extraordinary figures, especially the 2 beautiful princesses. Many felt ready to try. Maybe they really could become the princess's husband. But remembering that only the top 3 of the Fenghua rank were qualified, they could only smile bitterly. Indeed, those who could enter the top 3 were the best of the best. The emperor would not lose anything if they could marry the princesses. Should I try marrying a princess? Yi Futian looked at a princess. She was so beautiful. Even if I don't make top 3, I can still marry a prince, right? Hua Jieyu grinned at Yi Futian. I'm joking. Yi Futian surrendered immediately. Even without looking at her talent, Hua Jieyu was more beautiful than the #1 beauty of Kangye Kingdom. There was no competition. All right, those attending the Fenghua banquet, please step forward. Everyone else, please step back. Prepare to start, the emperor said. Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, and Yu Sheng quickly got onto the Black Wind Eagle and went forward. Every other attendee also approached the Fenghua platform. The others retreated, making a clear division. The Fenghua banquet was about to start. Chapter 111 Talents Displayed. Chapter 111 Talents Displayed. On the Fenghua platform, a group of elders clad in Kangye College uniforms stepped up. They gathered at the front of the platform and split into different sections. After, they placed the stacks of bookmarks in their hands on the platform and organized them. The names on the bookmarks were those of this year's Fenghua banquet participants. Over 10,000 bookmarks meant that there were over 10,000 attendees. One could only imagine how difficult it would be to get picked by the emperor and make it on the Fenghua rank. These elders were all cultivators in the Arcana plane and had extremely high cultivation. Most of them had photographic memory. Wang Teng, Zhou Fei, Li Yun. At this time, the elders began to call out names. People who had their names flew down to land on the stage. There were those who could fly, those who were dropped off by beasts, or even those who jumped off their beasts' backs. All of this commotion caused the platform to shake. 100 bookmarks were withdrawn from the piles, which meant that 100 people had their names called. Very quickly, all these people gathered on the platform. The Fenghua platform was massive and could easily accommodate 100 people. Everyone was able to stand comfortably in a different area. All of these people were in the 6-starred glory plane, which was the minimum allowed to attend the Fenghua banquet. If one was in any plane lower than such, it was unnecessary to participate in the banquet. Amongst these 100 people, only 3 of you will make it to the next round. Of course, it is also completely possible that not a single person makes it. So, you may begin to demonstrate your talents now. Remember, you may choose to forfeit. Once someone forfeits, everyone else is forbidden from making further attacks on that participant. Also, no life-threatening injuries are allowed, said an elder from Kangye College. Choosing 1 out of 100. There were too many people participating in the Fenghua banquet, and thus, it was necessary to quickly filter out the most outstanding people from the beginning. Starting from those of the same plane was the fairest. It was a way for the best talents to stand out from the rest. At least then, they wouldn't be eliminated right off the bat. In a split second, spiritual chi exploded on the platform. It became extremely hectic. Sorcerers immediately put distance between themselves and the rest, while martial arts cultivators were looking for the perfect opportunity. Quickly, someone began to attack those around them. With this one attack, the battle began. In the air and on the ground, countless pairs of eyes focused on the Fenghua platform. Yi Futian was also watching seriously. Only qualified people could participate in the Fenghua banquet, there were no weaklings. Many participants had already revealed their gifts in both martial arts and sorcery. There were also those who were multi-element sorcerers, and of course, there were many mandate sorcerers. The battle was fierce. In this messy battle, there were those who were powerful but got surrounded and attacked by multiple people. This type of chaotic battle was truly testing. Just because one was powerful did not mean that they would make it to the end, unless they had an absolute advantage over the rest. However, it was only a battle of 6-starred glory plane cultivators. Many spectators were interested. Those who got the most applause was usually above the 8-starred glory plane. Anyone below that almost never got picked by the Emperor. After the first group of talents concluded their battle, an elder from the Kangye College announced that no one had passed. All of them were eliminated. Even the person who had won the battle. The lower the level, the stronger your gifts have to be. It's the only way to move forward, everyone thought to themselves. Following that, another 100 people were called and another round of chaotic battle ensued. There were not many 6-starred glory plane participants, not even 1,000. After they were all done, the elders began to call on the 7-starred glory plane participants. More people were interested in the 7-starred glory plane battles. It was bound to be fiercer. Finally, Yu Sheng's name was called out. Yi Futian sent him down to the platform. But at the Fenghua banquet, Yu Sheng's name did not pique anyone's interest. No one knew who he was or how strong he was. All they knew was that he had an imposing stature. Among the people called on along with Yu Sheng, everyone was only interested in one, Yundi of the Demon Clan. He was a young man gifted by the heavens. Not even 17 yet, he had already made it into the 7-starred glory plane. He was also a beast tamer. Yundi was naturally close with the beasts and had the ability to tame them. On top of that, he was also a mandate sorcerer. Yundi's skin was dark, and he had a small stature but exuded a wild aura. As soon as he stepped onto the battle platform, he was the star of the show. This young man, who was only in the 7-starred glory plane, was said to be qualified to get picked by the Emperor. From this, it was easy to see just how outstanding he was. These people have the worst luck to be grouped with Yundi. They would have been alright had they been grouped with anyone else in the 7-starred glory plane, but it just had to be Yundi. Many people began to discuss. Yi Futian listened in on the discussions going on around him and was able to figure out what kind of person Yundi was. He looked at Yu Sheng and let out a smile. Yu Sheng was able to run into a strong candidate for the Fenghua banquet in his first battle. Yundi was going to make sure Yu Sheng stood out. They were getting lucky. Besides Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu, Sensha from Kangye College was probably the only other person who knew Yu Sheng. She quietly shook her head. To be in the same battle as Yundi, it looked like Yu Sheng was going to get eliminated in this first round. On the Fenghua platform, everyone focused their attention on Yundi. They watched as he placed a leaf between his lips and music sounded. The sounds were piercing to the ears. In the skies, many of the beasts became irritable. They were the beasts people were riding on. Whoosh! A glory plane beast abandoned its master and rushed toward Yundi. Its master was another participant of the Fenghua banquet. He fell helplessly from the skies. He did not cultivate in the element of wind, and that was why he had to ride a beast, but now, his beast was being controlled by someone else. This person was not alone. Quickly, more people ended up in a similar situation. All the flying beasts below the Dharma plane had abandoned their masters and headed toward Yundi. Make your move. Many young cultivators charged at Yundi. They were ready to gang up on him. Even though there was still a chance that they might not pass this round, at least their chances would increase if they defeated Yundi. But in this moment, a fearsome monster tide erupted on the Fenghua platform. A horde of beasts attacked. Many of participants with higher cultivation could not withstand the attack of the united beasts and were all thrown onto the ground. Spectators were speechless upon witnessing this scene. The Emperor's gaze fell on Yundi, and he let out a look of admiration. Not long after, almost everyone on the platform had fallen. Those who had not fallen chose to forfeit. How were they supposed to battle when Yundi summoned that many demon beasts? No surprise here, laughed bystanders. They pitied those grouped with Yundi. Yundi stopped blowing on the leaf, but the beasts continued to revolve around him. A strange sight indeed. Just then, Yundi noticed there was still one person standing. It looked as if he had not moved an inch from the beginning. "Aren't you going to forfeit?" Yundi looked at the young man with the large stature and questioned. "Thank you for clearing those people out for me," said Yu Sheng. His words shocked everyone in the audience. Did he just thank Yundi for clearing the way for him? Yi Futian blinked. Yu Sheng had changed a lot since coming with Yi Futian. The things he said were, well said. Yundi was dumbfounded at first, but a smile spread quickly on his face. He placed the leaf back between his lips and began to blow. Along with the melody, the beasts around Yundi were once again placed in a wild trance and immediately charged towards Yu Sheng. A fierce golden light enveloped Yu Sheng's body like the armor of a war god. As a wild falcon rushed toward him, Yu Sheng reached out his large hand and met with the falcon's talons. In a split second, his hand clasped down and grabbed onto the falcon's sharp talons. Next, Yu Sheng swung the falcon around with one arm. He flung the beast forward and with a loud crash, he had downed several beasts with the sheer force of his throw. The people were dumbfounded. After that, the beasts became more crazed. However, Yu Sheng took one step forward and the whole Fenghua platform began to shake. In this moment, people mistook this young man of imposing stature for a beast in human form. They watched as Yu Sheng threw a punch toward a beast and it was thrown through the air. Boom, boom. Yu Sheng took a couple more steps on the platform and reached out both hands. With his bare hands, he caught a red-winged tiger. The beast had tried to charge at Yu Sheng's neck but he managed to hold its mouth open with both hands and then ripped the beast open from the mouth. Is he really human? Everyone's heart was pounding. They realized that the beasts were no longer listening to Yundi's orders. They no longer dared to attack. Yundi was a beast tamer and not a beastmaster. He did not have total control over the beasts. Under extreme fear, the beasts would no longer listen to him. Yundi's expression darkened. He removed the leaf from his mouth and released his life spirit. It was a ferocious demon lion. Just the king of the beasts, Yundi's body moved quickly. Just like most demon beasts, he was swift and violent. His movements agile as a monkey. As Yundi got closer to Yu Sheng, he flew into the air, nimble as a leopard. Like a flash of lightning, he appeared in the air above Yu Sheng and the apparition of a lion appeared on his body. His hand morphed into a large paw with sharp claws, ready to claw at Yu Sheng's head at full force. Yu Sheng's reflexes were extremely quick and his body moved swiftly like a ghost. His hand reached out towards the sky and met with Yundi's sharp claws. A strong force threw Yundi back. Just as Yundi tried to take this opportunity to leave, Yu Sheng took one step into the air and flew towards to grab Yundi by the arm. In the next moment, everyone watched as Yu Sheng picked Yundi up and then smashed him into the ground. The Fenghua platform shook once again. Around the platform, everyone was in complete silence. When Yu Sheng stood up straight and looked toward the emperor, everyone was shaking in their boots. It seemed that at today's Fenghua banquet, the prodigies that everyone put their money on weren't undefeatable after all. Yundi had already been defeated in battle with someone in the same plane. Chapter 112 Fight while holding hands. Chapter 112 Fight while holding hands. Yu Sheng became the center of attention with one battle. Of the most popular contenders for the Fenghua rank, Yundi was the only one in the 7-star glory plane because he had very high demon training talents. He could control all demons under the Dharma plane, and even demons of the Dharma plane would be affected. He was also a mandate sorcerer with high combat abilities. With his first battle, he summoned countless beasts and was brilliant. However, this was all done to make someone else look better in comparison. Everyone thought of the thanks Yu Sheng had said. He was such a jerk. Sen Shah's heart trembled. It seemed that Yu Sheng had only shown the tip of the iceberg at the pretest in the Kangye College. Was this his true power? This was crazy. The people of the demon clan in the air looked aghast. They had put so much hope in Yundi but he was defeated in the first round. The opponent was even on the same plane. With this, they knew that Yundi's name would not appear in the Fenghua rank. Someone of the same plane was more outstanding than him. At this moment, the emperor sat in the royal seat. He noticed Yu Sheng look over as if observing him. There was no reverence at all. Yu Sheng seemed to just want to see what the emperor was like. As expected, different from everyone else, the emperor said with a chuckle. He naturally would not be angry at Yu Sheng for a look. He was the emperor and had the tolerance of an emperor. The point of the Fenghua banquet was to find the most impressive of the younger generation in Kangye Kingdom. This was why he ordered that anyone who hurt the attendees of the Fenghua banquet would be executed. He would not do so either, of course. Otherwise, how would he be able to continue the banquet? The nearby nobles heard the emperor's words and realized that he thought highly of Yu Sheng. From the Yu's aggressive performance, they could see that he was practically born for battle. Only Yi Futian was not surprised. How could anyone of the same plane defeat Yu Sheng? Yu Sheng, Yundi, pass, the elder from Kangye College announced. He kept the bookmarks with their names and put away all the rest. This was expected. Yundi had lost, but he wouldn't end here. Yu Sheng started back. He looked up into the sky and then pushed off from the Fenghua platform. He shot up into the sky like a sword. Wind. Yi Futian reached out. Wind blew past and wrapped around Yu Sheng. Using this gust of wind, Yu Sheng landed onto the black wind eagle. Many people looked in the direction of the eagle. This way, they also saw Yi Futian and the veiled Hua Jieyu. The three all looked familiar. No one knew who they were or where they came from. The dean continued to name people and the battles went on. Outstanding figures continued to appear, but there were no collisions like Yu Sheng and Yundi. As the battles continued, Yi Futian finally heard his name. However, the name after his was Hua Jieyu. He was stunned. They had been put into the same round. The two met eyes and smiled. Then the wind wrapped around them and took them downward. They descended upon the Fenghua platform like a pair of ethereal lovers, instantly attracting the gazes of many. They were with Yu Sheng, and Yu Sheng's battle had been too amazing. In the air, Bai Chu from the Qin clan looked at Yi Futian. They had met 3 days ago. He had invited Yi Futian to be his musical attendant but was rejected. Now, he realized that Yi Futian had a reason for the confidence. If Yu Sheng was this powerful, Yi Futian couldn't be much worse. Lin Yuyao, known as the #1 beauty of Kangye, also looked at Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. She was also curious because she had heard what Yi Futian had said to Hua Jieyu that day. Though the girl was veiled, her figure and aura were both amazing. Her facial features must be beautiful as well. However, Lin Yuyao didn't believe Hua Jieyu could be prettier than her. The demon clan though did not look friendly. It was clearly because of Yu Sheng. Coincidentally, there were 2 disciples of the demon clan in this round. The emperor had ordered that conflicts from the Fenghua banquet could not be avenged for in private. However, there was no problem in doing so during the banquet. Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu walked to a place and Yi Futian sat down. His Gukan spirit appeared and fell behind him. Hua Jieyu stood quietly beside him as if she didn't care for the battle. Music rose. The graceful melody traveled from the Gukan spirit behind Yi Futian. It made one feel comfortable as if it wasn't a musical spell for battle. The 2 demon clan disciples walked towards them. One held a flute, which he brought to his lips and played. There was instantly an eerie sound. Glory plane demons rustled in the air again, making all the masters of the demons upset. Did they bring their beasts here just so the demon clan could use them? However, though the demons seemed to riot, they didn't leave. Spiritual chi gathered before the flutist and transformed into a vague demon. It charged toward Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. His tactics were similar to a conjurer's but were not as powerful as the demon a conjurer could draw. Hua Jieyu reached out. An invisible spiritual storm appeared instantly, stopping the demon created by spiritual chi. Then she clenched a fist and the demon scattered into the spiritual chi again. You fight and I'll support, Yi Futian murmured. One needed to show their talents to pass the Fenghua banquet, so avoiding the fight was unrealistic. Yi Futian couldn't perform by himself either. That way, Hua Jieyu would be unnecessary. Okay. Hua Jieyu nodded lightly. Music flowed into her ears endlessly, but they were not offensive spells. They were supplementary spells. Hua Jieyu felt her spiritual energy increase at that moment. She walked before Yi Futian, a glint appearing in her pretty eyes. Following that, there was a shocking amount of spiritual chi around her. Boom! The 2 demon clan members felt their bodies stiffen. A gust of huge power dropped directly onto them, forcing their bodies to fly up involuntarily. The others preparing to fight on the platform were shocked. They all looked at the demon clan members. Then they saw wood elemental spiritual chi turn into vines that swept toward the two, hurling them into the air. Deal with these two first, someone on the Fenghua platform murmured. Everyone looked at Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. Then, aggressive auras exploded towards the two. The strong figures of the Fenghua platform vaguely surrounded them. But Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu didn't seem to notice. Yi Futian continued to play his guqin. The wood elemental spiritual chi around Hua Jieyu grew more violent until it was about to turn into a storm. The next moment, she released the lock of 1,000 vines. Endless vines swept in all directions from Hua Jieyu's side. The lock of 1,000 vines was a pretty powerful controlling spell of the wood elemental sorcery. Many people would cultivate it, but different people had different power. Hua Jieyu's spiritual energy was terrifying. With this, she was able to control the spiritual chi of all elements. Thus, she could naturally release spells of any type of element. Many of those who saw the incoming vines flashed or used spells and martial arts techniques to hack at the vines. However, with Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu's teamwork, the lock of 1,000 vines became extremely strong. Many people were curled up and thrown into the distance. However, some powerful figures also used extremely strong momentum to rush up for close-range fighting. Long-distance fighting was definitely a disaster when faced with two spiritual sorcerers. When two figures approached, Hua Jieyu reached out her slender hands and they were instantly immobilized. She slowly floated up, shining like a fairy. The two powerful cultivators were unable to break free from the invisible strength. With rustles, the vines snaked toward them and tossed them out. "I don't want to hurt anyone. Just surrender," Hua Jieyu said softly. Still hovering in the air, another sharp metal elemental storm burst around her. It gathered into swords and spears, dancing around her. Everyone understood that Hua Jieyu had not shown her true powers yet. If she used an offensive spell after releasing the lock of 1,000 vines, it would be a catastrophe for many. They all felt despair. The power of a musical sorcerer and an offensive spiritual sorcerer working together was terrifying. "Her spiritual energy seems powerful," many murmured as they gazed at Hua Jieyu. Yi Futian's musical spell had also increased her power, resulting in the current situation. Many people began to give up and leave, depressed. They used to say they were geniuses and were the strong ones in their planes. Now, they knew they were just a big fish in a small pond. "Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, pass," the Kangye College elder announced. Yi Futian did not fight, but it was clear from how he helped Hua Jieyu that he could do much more. Yi Futian bowed slightly to the emperor and prepared to leave with Hua Jieyu. "You should join the Qin clan," someone in the air said. Yi Futian looked up and saw Bai Chu. "I had misunderstood you before and wanted you to be my musical attendant. I realize you're more talented than I had imagined. I doubt you would be satisfied with being a musical attendant. With your current attainments, you might be equal to me after 1 or 2 years in the Qin clan," Bai Chu said. Many people looked over at him. It seemed that Yi Futian's musical sorcery had impressed Bai Chu and made him want to have Yi Futian for himself. He even said that Yi Futian might be equal to him in 1 or 2 years. That was an extremely high praise for Yi Futian. Chapter 113 The Dinner. Chapter 113, The Dinner. Bai Chu was already a musical sorcerer in the Dharma plane and Yi Futian was only in the 7-starred glory plane. It would be difficult enough to just catch up to Bai Chu's current level in the span of 1 or 2 years. Musical sorcerers should indeed enter the Qin clan for cultivation. Yi Futian looked at Bai Chu with a peculiar expression. This was his second offer to Yi Futian. The first was to offer him a position as his musical attendant. This second time, even though he now had a better impression of Yi Futian, one could still hear from his tone of voice that Bai Chu still felt superior to Yi Futian. "With your current attainments, you might be equal to me after 1 or 2 years in the Qin clan." Did Yi Futian need 1 or 2 years? And must he enter the Qin clan in order to do so? Just as he was about to reject the offer, a rough, irritated voice said, "Will you shut up?" Everyone turned their eyes over to the origin of the voice and saw Yu Sheng standing atop the black wind eagle in the skies. He looked at Bai Chu with an icy expression. Last time when Bai Chu had asked Yi Futian to be his musical attendant, Yu Sheng was already pissed. Now, that Bai Chu was showing his superiority over Yi Futian once again, Yu Sheng could not hold back anymore. To others, Bai Chu's offer might have been a sign of his approval towards Yi Futian. The basis of that assumption was that even they thought Bai Chu was better than Yi Futian. However, Yu Sheng had the exact opposite opinion. To Yu Sheng, Bai Chu's offer was a blatant insult to Yi Futian, and the reason why he was so irritated. Many people gave Yu Sheng strange looks. On the other hand, members of the Qin clan did not have a good expression on their faces. Bai Chu was a representative of the younger generation members of the Qin clan. Outside of the clan, Bai Chu was a representative of the clan's reputation. In their eyes, Bai Chu admired Yi Futian's abilities and thus invited him to join the Qin clan, but was berated by Yu Sheng. Even though your talents are impressive and is incredibly strong, to speak like that is still a little out of line. Bai Chu did not say anything in reply to Yu Sheng's outburst. It was another member of the Qin clan who spoke. Scram. Yu Sheng said nothing else. He did not want to waste his breath. The young clan member glared at Yu Sheng. How could he be so rude? The things he says are just as crazy as the way he fights. Everyone looked at Yu Sheng. He was talking to members of the Qin clan and particularly, at the clan's Dharma Plane prodigy, Bai Chu. He really did not show them any respect. Bai Chu did a once-over of Yu Sheng and smiled. Then, he turned to say to Yi Futian, I extended an offer to you out of the kindness of my heart. If you were not interested then so be it. However, we are at the Fenghua banquet, in the presence of the emperor. Your friend is truly lacking proper etiquette. Yi Futian's pupils contracted slightly. Bai Chu was insinuating that Yu Sheng had no respect for the emperor. Lifting his head to look at Bai Chu, Yi Futian smiled and said, Will you shut up? The same question Yu Sheng asked. Yu Sheng was only enraged because it regarded Yi Futian. Even if he was in the wrong, Yi Futian would not take any other side in front of outsiders. Besides, Yi Futian also did not like Bai Chu much. In the huge venue, many people watched Yi Futian. These people were really interesting. Bai Chu and the members of the Qin clan were rendered speechless by Yi Futian utterance. Although Bai Chu still had a smile on his face, everyone could tell that it was an awkward smile. I'll see you on the Fenghua platform, said Bai Chu coldly. He said nothing more after that. Yi Futian did not care. A gust of wind brushed over Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. The two of them were lifted into the air and onto the back of the black wind eagle. Yi Futian glared quickly at Yu Sheng. Does this guy know how to keep a low profile? Yu Sheng gave him a carefree smile. It was a good-natured smile, unlike his ferocious self a while ago. The battles continued and participants joined non-stop. There were indeed many prodigies in the crowd. After the 7-starred Glory Plane cultivators were done, it was time for the higher-level cultivators. 8-starred Glory Plane, 9-starred Glory Plane, the battles were getting more and more intense. More and more extremely talented people emerged. Disregarding natural gifts and talents, if one was in a higher plane, it would be easier to get noticed by the emperor. Yi Futian and the rest stayed on the Black Wind Eagle's back as they continued to observe the battles. Inwardly they thought, the Fenghua banquet is indeed a gathering of talents in the Kangye kingdom. Some participants were indeed very outstanding. Yi Futian took notice of an 8-starred Glory Plane participant. It was a girl, beautiful and pure. She was not lacking in comparison to Kangye kingdom's #1 beauty, Lin Yuyao. The reason why she stood out to Yi Futian was her occupation class. She was a conjurer but also an inscriber. During the battle, she was able to simultaneously display her talents in both classes through drawing. Her name was Hua Juxin. As soon as she appeared on the battle platform, she was the center of attention. Spectators began to discuss about. It seemed that she was pretty well known. Of course, the Kangye kingdom's number beauty, Lin Yuyao, received more attention when she appeared because she was more attractive. Besides these two participants, there were others in the Glory Plane who stood out from the rest but none that attracted as much attention as the two beauties. After everyone in the Glory Plane was finished, it was already almost dusk. Next, it was time for the Dharma Plane cultivators. There was nowhere as many Dharma Plane participants as there was in the Glory Plane. There were only a couple hundred people, and most of them were first-level Dharma Plane cultivators. The battle between Dharma Plane cultivators was far more ferocious than that of the Glory Plane cultivators. When all participants began to release their realization of Dharma, everything became a blur for the audience. Especially because it was a chaotic battle between so many people. It was a truly thrilling scene. Every individual battle was enough to get people's hearts racing. Yi Futian paid close attention to the Dharma Plane battles. He also took notice of Bai Chu's battle. Bai Chu was arrogant, and rightfully so, because he did possess the gifts and talents. During the battle, he stayed to one side and played a piece. No one was able to even get close to him, and this was what made him stand out amongst everyone else. Besides Bai Chu, several of the Dharma Plane students from Kangye College were also very powerful. There was also a young man, who people called Young Lord. His sword skills were eye-opening. Yi Futian had his name memorized, Yi Wuchen. They shared a surname. Finally, after all battles had ceased, only a little over 200 of the initial 10,000 plus participants had passed. They were allowed to continue competing in this year's Fenghua banquet. The night had fallen and the skies were now pitch black, but outside the Imperial Palace, the lights illuminated the Fenghua platform. The Emperor stood from his throne and everyone followed suit immediately. A figure walked out from beside the Emperor and said with a smile, "His Majesty has set up a feast in the Imperial Palace. All participants who have passed today may follow His Majesty into the palace." Everyone nodded lightly. It was a banquet after all, there must be a feast. Besides, during the battles, those of true talent were able to share a meal with the Emperor. It would be a formal and official meeting with the Emperor. That was why they must filter out only the best of the best in this first round, and why there were only 200 some people left from over 10,000 participants. Yi Futian and his friends traveled to the back of the crowd and arrived in front of Hua Fengliu and the rest. He said, "Master, we're going to head into the Imperial Palace. Once the dinner is over, we'll head back to the inn." "Go," smiled Hua Fengliu. There was no need to worry. The Emperor of the Kangye Kingdom seemed to be an open-minded person. His reason for holding the Fenghua banquet was to search for talented cultivators. Naturally, there was no need for Hua Fengliu to worry about anything happening to the trio in the palace. Yi Futian turned back and the three youngsters walked towards the Imperial Palace. The Emperor left first in his carriage. The participants had others to lead the way. Passing the Fenghua platform was the Fenghua Gate. After that, was a straight road to the Imperial Palace. The palace architecture had its own unique style. The large group was led into the royal garden. The environment was extremely beautiful, extravagant but not lacking elegance. The Emperor and Empress were already waiting in the garden. Everyone approached to bow and make their greetings. No need to be too formal, just treat this as a regular family dinner. "Sit as you please," smiled the Emperor. Then, he took his own seat with the Empress. Only then did everyone take a seat. Everyone had their own small table. Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, and Yu Sheng all sat at their own tables. Today was the beginning of the Fenghua banquet. Everyone present now is the pride of the younger generation in the Kangye Kingdom. You guys are the future of our country. The Empress and I toast to you all. The Emperor lifted his wine glass and everyone followed right after. When the Fenghua banquet comes to an end, I know that not everyone will be pleased with the results. However, to have reached this point, you already proved your talent. Even if you are unable to advance after tomorrow, please do not be discouraged," said the Emperor. Everyone seated below was of the younger generation and not suited to have conversation with the Emperor, so they just sat and listened. The Emperor continued with a smile, "I know that you guys won't be able to let loose with me here. I will let these youngsters stay to socialize with you guys and I'll take my leave now. No one is allowed to leave too early today or else it will hurt my pride." After he finished, the Emperor left with a smile, the Empress following alongside him. However, the two princes and the two princesses stayed behind. The people present today could very well become important people in the Kangye Kingdom. It would not hurt for the princes and princesses to become acquainted with them early on. This was another purpose of tonight's feast. "All right, now that father has left, you guys can let loose," laughed a prince. Everyone laughed as well, and there was a change in the atmosphere. The princes and princesses were of a similar age as everyone seated at the dinner. There was no need to be overly formal amongst a group of all youths. After all, they were all cultivators with outstanding gifts and talents, so compared to ordinary people, they were not as awestruck by royalty. This is my first time to see goddess Lin Yuyao at such close proximity. You are indeed a beauty previously only seen in paintings, the prince complimented Lin Yuyao. She is indeed the #1 beauty of Kangye Kingdom. It's not just rumors, said a person in the crowd. It's simply a title others have given me as a joke. Your Highness had overpraised me, Lin Yuyao replied with a hint of a smile. In a moment like this, how can we not have some music? Asked a gentle voice. It was one of the princesses. She looked towards Bai Chu and Yi Futian. Both musical sorcerers were extremely handsome, gentlemanly, and talented. The music of the Qin clan is not suited for this atmosphere. I'm afraid I will have to disappoint you, princess, smiled Bai Chu. However, during today's Fenghua banquet, Yi Futian played and Hua Jieyu danced. They complemented each other so well, truly a match made in heaven. Why don't you guys take this chance to impress everyone with your performance? Everyone at the venue smiled at Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu. Earlier today, the trio really did steal the show with their abilities. Furthermore, Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu were obviously a couple. Their collaborative performance during the Fenghua banquet was just too pleasing. Chapter 114 Dancer. Chapter 114 Dancer. Bai Chu smiled while looking in Yi Futian's direction, but it faded quickly. Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, and Yu Sheng were enjoying the food and hadn't even glanced at him. The emperor's banquet is so nice with great food and wine. Fox, eat your fill, Yi Futian said to Hua Jieyu with a smile. Okay. Hua Jieyu smiled back while Yu Sheng stared at them in annoyance. Bai Chu's smile froze on his face. Was he ignored just like this? Princess Yi Lingxi was around the same age as Yi Futian. She gazed at Yi Futian's handsome side profile, her lips seeming to curl into a smile. This guy is too bad, she thought. She obviously knew that Bai Chu was trying to make things difficult for Yi Futian, but what was more embarrassing than being ignored? It was even worse for someone of Bai Chu's status. Everyone else looked over. Some were looking for the drama, others thought that Bai Chu was looking for trouble for himself. After all, they had already had conflicts at today's Fenghua banquet. If he targeted Yi Futian now, the youth obviously would not treat him with respect. However, Yi Futian's response was a bit special. Or rather, he didn't respond at all. Of course, some others thought that Yi Futian was too conceited. After all, Bai Chu was at the Dharma plane and was the representative of the Qin clan. He had been taunted by Yu Sheng and Yi Futian for his invitation earlier. Now, he spoke but was ignored. Furthermore, it was the princess who spoke first. If someone asks a question, you should reply no matter what your answer is, a voice said. The speaker was one of the Kangye College students. There were many talented students of Kangye College, 8 were present at the banquet. Sen Sha, whom Yi Futian knew, was here too, but she wasn't the one who spoke. Instead, it was the even more talented Yu Zhong. He was one of those who didn't like Yi Futian. After all, Bai Chu was someone at his level. Yi Futian put down his wine and looked around. His gaze landed in the direction of the Kangye College. He had met Yu Zhong at the college. The day of the pretest, Sen Sha had pointed out Yu Zhong and Bai Chu, saying that they were popular contenders of the Fenghua banquet. Yi Futian looked directly at Yu Zhong. He watched as the other lifted his glass and sipped it without breaking the eye contact. In Yu Yang's eyes, Yi Futian's group was talented, but they were too arrogant. Are we close? Yi Futian's smile was more like a smirk. Of course not, and I don't wish to be either. Yu Zhong set down his wine. But since the princess invited you, shouldn't you respond? It's all right. It was just the spur of the moment, Yi Lingxi said, seeing that the mood was off. Her beautiful smile was like a spring breeze that blew away a bit of the awkwardness. Princess, your tolerance is impressive, but some people think too highly of themselves, Yu Zhong continued. This is the banquet held by the emperor, but some come with veiled faces. This is too self-conceited. Even Lin Yuyao, the top beauty of Kangye, is not like this. He was obviously targeting Hua Jieyu. My father said earlier that this is just like a family banquet. There is no need to feel restricted and there is no need to push others, Prince Yi Danshan said, seeing that Yu Zhong still wouldn't let the matter go. They were all proud people and rivals at the Fenghua banquet. It was natural that there would be some conflicts. This further tested their reactions and processing abilities. Seeing that both a princess and prince had spoken, Yi Futian couldn't be too disrespectful. He smiled at Princess Yi Lingxi and said, "Indeed, I know a court dance and I am willing to play it for you." With that, Yi Futian walked out alone. He came to the peach trees behind the banquet and sat down with crossed legs. As for Bai Chu's suggestion of having Hua Jiu dance and what Yu Zhong said about the veil, he ignored both of them. He respected the princess but not those two. His Gukan spirit appeared. A graceful melody traveled into everyone's ears, pulling everyone into the artistic conception of the song. The melody of the White Feathers Garment was a superb court dance song and suited the current atmosphere. As the music played, the mood became more natural. Drinking under the festive atmosphere, many people were involuntarily influenced. "This piece makes me feel that all the court dance songs from the past were nothing," Yi Danshan praised. "However, it feels like something is missing. This is a dance song. It is naturally missing a beauty," Bai Chu said with a smile as he glanced at Hua Jiu again. "But the beauty refuses to entertain us." Yu Sheng stood up, his expression extremely cold. Bai Chu was stirring trouble. The music was affected as well, growing cooler. Seeing this situation, Princess Yi Lingxi smiled and said, "If there are no complaints, I can embarrass myself a little." Shock flashed past everyone's eyes at these words. Would the princess dance personally? "Princess, no," Yu Zhong said. "How could a princess dance for Yi Futian? I was just joking." "The princess mustn't take it seriously," Bai Chu said. "I am suddenly in the mood to do so. The music is so beautiful that someone must dance for it. Why can't I?" As Yi Lingxi spoke, she walked up to Yi Futian. Her long dress fluttered as she danced. "Beautiful," Yi Danshan praised while everyone was still shocked. Everyone's gazes were attracted by the dancing princess Yi Lingxi and the music performer Yi Futian. Under the moonlight, peach blossoms covered the ground around them like a painting. "If news of today's banquet spreads, it will become a beautiful legend," someone said. Many nodded in agreement. Before, they'd thought that the princess would be lowering herself by dancing. Now, they realized that it was a type of grace and this performance was indeed beautiful. "Miss Juxin, would you be able to add some color to this scene?" Yi Danshan asked Hua Juxin. Hua Juxin smiled and walked to the peach trees. Using her hand as a brush, she gathered the spiritual qi into various spiritual birds. Cuckoos, cranes, and phoenixes flew in the air. They circled Yi Futian and Yi Lingxi, instantly making one feel that they were looking at a painting of fairies. This should not exist in the human world. So beautiful. Lin Yuyao could not help but praise this either. Yi Futian was extremely handsome and seemed to glow while playing the guqin. With the princess dancing for him in Juxin's painting, the sight was mesmerizing. At this moment, Bai Chu and Yu Zhong looked uncomfortable. They didn't like Yi Futian, so they had him perform. They didn't expect for this to become something beautiful. Bai Chu especially was thinking that if he were the one playing right now, it would be a gorgeous sight. When the song ended, everyone was still intoxicated by the melody. Yi Futian's guqin spirit disappeared. Yi Lingxi looked at him, her eyes sparkling. The music was stunning. "Princess, your dancing was beautiful as well," Yi Futian said with a smile. "I must have you teach me this song in the future," Yi Lingxi replied and then walked into the crowd. Hua Juxin nodded lightly at Yi Futian. Yi Futian smiled in reply and returned to his spot. He gazed at the crowd and saw Bai Chu and Yu Zhong staring at him coldly. His lips curled into a smirk. He had performed well at the Fenghua banquet and both Yu Sheng and Hua Jiu were outstanding. But Bai Chu and Yu Zhong still wanted to trouble him. They probably thought that the trio was in a lower plane and still looked down on them. Hopefully, this sense of superiority would survive until after the Fenghua banquet. "Your Highness," Yi Futian called. Everyone looked over at him and he smiled. "There are seniors at home waiting for us to return. I have played a piece, so now I must excuse myself." "All right." Yi Danshan smiled and nodded rather than stopping him. If Yi Futian stayed, there might be more conflicts. It would be better if he left. See you tomorrow, Yi Lingxi added. Yi Futian nodded subtly and said, see you at the Fenghua platform. No one knew if he said this to the princess or someone else. After that, the three rose and left. Someone helped them out of the palace. Under the moonlight, the three climbed onto the Black Wind Eagle to return. Was it nice to have the princess dance for you? Hua Jiayu smiled at Yi Futian. When we get back, I'll play a piece and you dance for me. It'll be prettier, Yi Futian said, laughing. Sure. Hua Jiayu smiled, but Yi Futian got a bad feeling from her smile. The next morning, countless people gathered around the Fenghua platform. Yesterday, the Fenghua banquet had started. Thousands upon thousands of strong talents came from all over the Kangye kingdom. Now, only 200 some were left, but they made the spectators much more excited. When Yi Futian's group arrived, many people were already there: the Qin clan, the Kangye college students, the Demon clan, and various forces and nobles were all present. As if sensing something, Yi Futian glanced over and saw Bai Chu smiling at him. He knew what the smile meant. Yi Futian looked away, ignoring Bai Chu. The three continued forward, approaching the Fenghua platform to prepare for the battles. Carriages came from the direction of the palace. The emperor and empress came with the princes and princesses. They all sat in their seats. Yi Danshan and Yi Lingxi were there too, naturally. Yi Lingxi scanned the crowd and smiled at Yi Futian when she saw him. Yi Futian returned the smile and glanced at Hua Jiayu nervously. I'm being polite. What happened after they returned to the inn last night was unforgettable. I don't mind, Hua Jiayu said with a smile. Yes, I know, Yi Futian answered. Seeing Hua Jiayu's gentle smile, he almost believed her. At this time, many people rose to bow to the emperor, but he waved his hand. No need for the customs. Please continue. The elder from the Kangye college walked onto the Fenghua platform. He put the remaining bookmarks into a line. Next, a minority of these names would shine on the Fenghua platform and be known throughout the kingdom. Chapter 115. I look forward to it. Chapter 115. I look forward to it. An elder from Kangye College organized the bookmarks and pushed a line of them forward. Then, he looked up at the participants waiting in the skies above. Today's portion of the Fenghua banquet will be slightly different from yesterday's. The names I call now will be all those majoring in martial arts cultivation within the glory plane. When you step onto the Fenghua platform, you will do your best to demonstrate your true abilities. Even if you lose, there is still a chance that you might make it into the next round. Naturally, everyone understood what he meant. They were trying to filter out the best martial arts cultivator using gifts and true abilities as determining factors. After that, the elder began to read names off of the bookmarks. One by one, participants headed for the platform. Of course, Yu Sheng's name was also within the ones called. Yi Futian used wind sorcery to send Yu Sheng onto the platform. In the group of over 200 people, there were 40 who were glory plane martial arts cultivators, and amongst them, a majority of them were either 8-starred or 9-starred glory plane cultivators. This was a large disadvantage for those in the 6-starred and 7-starred glory plane. After Yu Sheng stepped on to the battle platform, many participants turned to look at him. It was obvious that they saw Yu Sheng as a dangerous character. You guys fight first, said Yu Sheng. He then turned and walked to stand quietly at a side of the platform. The air of superiority he gave off rendered everyone speechless. He was too arrogant. To make it to the second day, everyone must possess extraordinary talents. Even though Yu Sheng had an explosive amount of strength, there were still some powerful 9-starred glory plane cultivators present. How dare he be so conceited? Yi Futian blinked and smacked himself in the head. It's my fault, he grumbled. In the air surrounding the Fenghua platform, everyone watched Yu Sheng speechlessly. On the throne, even Emperor Yi could not help but chuckle as he looked at Yu Sheng. This young man was indeed a little reckless, but then again, with abilities like Yu Sheng's, what he did should not be considered reckless. The emperor looked forward to his performance. Yun Zuo was a student of Kangye College. He was actually a mandate sorcerer, but instead, he chose to major in martial arts cultivation. It was because his life spirit was a bit peculiar. It was a pair of golden wings. His life spirit gave him powers in 2 elements, metal and wind. He was prepared to gather Dharma realization of the wings because he couldn't take the sorcerer route. He was going to focus on martial arts and use sorcery as a supplement. Yun Zuo of Kangye College was also a strong contender for the Fenghua rank. However, there were still two of his senior brothers from Kangye College present. They were both in the Dharma plane, which caused the spotlight on Yun Zuo to dim considerably. Besides Yun Zuo, Wu Quanren of the Demon Clan was also present. He was also a mandate sorcerer, but because his life spirit was a demon ape, it had immense strength. So, he chose to major in martial arts cultivation. Both Yun Zuo and Wu Quanren were in the 9-starred glory plane. With them present, no matter how explosive Yu Sheng's performance was yesterday, as a mere 7-starred glory plane cultivator, it seemed that he had no right to be so arrogant. After all, the opponents he faced the previous day were all in the 7-starred glory plane. Boom! Wu Quanren took a step forward, headed straight for Yu Sheng. Everyone concentrated on this scene. In yesterday's battle, Yu Sheng beat up the Demon Clan's young prodigy, Yun Di. Was Wu Quanren going to get revenge on Yu Sheng today? Wu Quanren released his life spirit and a fearsome silhouette of a demon ape appeared behind him. He clenched his fists and his body was immediately encapsulated by stone. With every step he took, it gave off a feeling of great pressure. Is Wu Quanren going to directly challenge Yu Sheng? Everyone thought and stared at the large figure headed toward Yu Sheng. Some of them shifted their attention to Yu Sheng. What was his life spirit? With such explosive strength, it was only natural that people did not suspect that Yu Sheng had no life spirit. To their disappointment, Yu Sheng did not release a life spirit. He watched as Wu Quanren approached and a golden light surrounded his body like a deity. A roar came from the platform. Wu Quanren acted as if he were possessed by the demon ape. He lifted his large hand to slap down at Yu Sheng. Wu Quanren wanted to see for himself just how strong Yu Sheng was. Yu Sheng's hand formed into a golden fist which seemed to have grown sharp thorns. The platform shook as he took a step and threw a punch at Wu Quanren. There was nothing flashy about their movements as they attacked. Everything was simple, direct, and violent. With a loud bang, the two crashed into each other. In that moment, a frightening flow of air appeared around them accompanied by the sound of whistling. The two young men stopped moving momentarily while the demon ape roared. Suddenly, Yu Sheng threw his fists forward and broke past his opponent's palm, landing a punch on Wu Quanren's chest. With a crackle, Wu Quanren's defense was destroyed. He groaned in pain, backing up slightly but not letting himself fall. Boom! Yu Sheng's foot stomped down on the ground. Both of his hands reached out to grab his opponent. At the same time, Wu Quanren also threw both fists at Yu Sheng. However, everyone witnessed Yu Sheng stop his advance by grabbing his arm with one hand while the other hand pushed down on Wu Quanren's shoulder. Yu Sheng had perfectly blocked his attack. In the next moment, spectators watched as Yu Sheng lifted Wu Quanren into midair. He was swung around then flung off the Fenghua platform. Everyone was dumbfounded. It's true that Yu Sheng was arrogant because he was impossibly strong, but what of it? The battles that ensued after that were strange in comparison. Yu Sheng stood to one side, resting his eyes. The other participants fought their individual battles, not disturbing Yu Sheng. That was until only Yun Zuo of Kangye College was left standing on the Fenghua platform. Behind Yun Zuo, his golden wings appeared. The majestic wings carried him off the ground, into the air overlooking Yu Sheng. Yun Zuo had noticed that every time Yu Sheng stepped onto the platform, he was sent down with the aid of Yi Futian's wind sorcery. This meant that Yu Sheng did have a weakness. His strength could overpower everything. Even Wu Quanren, a 9-starred glory plane cultivator, was brutally defeated by Yu Sheng in a battle of strength. This guy was born with superhuman strength. A row of golden spears formed in the air and charged toward Yu Sheng on the platform. With one swipe of his arm, a flash of golden light appeared and blocked off the spears. Yun Zuo raced toward Yu Sheng like a flash of lightning. Yu Sheng had hunched down and charged forward at an incredible speed. Everyone was frozen. Has he gone mad? Why was he running across the Fenghua platform so crazily? Just then, they saw Yu Sheng's right foot stomp down on the platform and at the speed of light, he was propelled upward at Yun Zuo, who was headed for him. Yun Zuo is done for. was the only thing that crossed everyone's minds. Everything happened too quickly. A second later, the sound of an explosion erupted in midair. Even though Yun Zuo's wings were good for speed, there was no way he could avoid Yu Sheng's attack. The audience watched as Yun Zuo was thrown backwards by a single punch from Yu Sheng. He was thrown so high into the air, his body was at a height greater than the emperor's throne. Boom! Yu Sheng landed heavily on the platform. Countless pairs of eyes fell on him. Speechless. This freak. Sen Sha witnessed the brutal defeat of Yun Zuo, a talented senior brother from Kangye College, and stared at Yu Sheng in utter confusion. How can a human body be capable of exerting such strength? The elder from Kangye College were also speechless. After a slight delay, he said, Yu Sheng. Pass. Only Yu Sheng. There were no other names announced. Not even Yun Zuo of Kangye College. With an outstanding martial arts cultivator like Yu Sheng, the emperor would not need to consider any other martial arts cultivators in the glory plane. No one could compete with him. Everyone already had a feeling that Yu Sheng had a very high chance of being picked by the emperor to enter the Fenghua rank. Yu Sheng stepped off the platform. Next, was the competition between glory plane sorcerers. Sorcerers of the 7 elements, as well as some spiritual sorcerers, were called to the platform. Hua Jieyu was one of them. However, Yi Futian was not called. Even though musical sorcerers were a type of spiritual sorcerer, they were still different. Yi Futian noticed that several musical sorcerers from the Qin clan as well as beast tamer Yun Di were not called either. There must a third category of cultivators for the next round. Similar to the first, this second round consisted of some extremely talented people. Among them, 2 young women stole the spotlight, Lin Yuyao and Hua Jieyu. On the Fenghua platform, the 2 beauties stood opposite of each other. Although Hua Jieyu's full appearance had not yet been revealed, her aura and her eyes could not hide her beauty. Hua Jieyu and Hua Juxin are probably the only 2 who can compare to Lin Yuyao, said someone in the crowd of onlookers. Yes, Hua Jieyu's talents are truly impressive. It must be a reflection of her looks. She must be a beauty, another person agreed with him. It's a shame that we already have Lin Yuyao in the Kangye kingdom. No one can steal her spotlight. You are very gifted, Lin Yuyao said to Hua Jieyu with a smile. It would be better if your level of cultivation was a little higher. Hua Jieyu looked at her calmly, spiritual qi whistling in the wind around her. Lin Yuyao, Hua Jieyu, pass, shouted the Kangye College elder. Everyone was shocked. They had both passed. It was as if the elders wanted to prevent the 2 ladies from a duel. Hua Jieyu was gifted but had a disadvantage in terms of cultivation level. Perhaps the elders wanted to give her a chance to prove herself, so they kept her from battling Lin Yuyao for now. Lin Yuyao smiled and said, I'm really curious what you look like. As soon as she was done speaking, she lifted into the air and departed. Hua Jieyu did the same. Now, it was time for the final battle of Glory Plane cultivators. The Kangye College elder called out the names one by one. Musical sorcerers of the Qin clan, beast tamer Yun Di of the demon clan, Yi Futian, and conjurer Hua Juxin stepped onto the Fenghua platform. They were all cultivators with specialties. Thus, they were placed in battle with each other. As Yi Futian stepped onto the platform, he immediately noticed the looks of malice he received from the musical sorcerers of the Qin clan. After his little clash with Bai Chu at last night's dinner, it was only natural that the clan members would not take it easy on Yi Futian on the Fenghua platform. Musical sorcerer in the 7-starred glory plane, snickered a Qin clan member. He looked at Yi Futian and continued, musical sorcerers are very knowledgeable, especially those of the Qin clan. Even though we already know how this battle will end, as a musical sorcerer yourself, it would be an honor for you to get a taste of the Qin clan's musical sorcery. You won't have wasted the trip here. Yi Futian dumbfounded. He looked up at the clan member and smiled. I look forward to getting a taste of the Qin clan's musical sorcery and to make an exchange with prodigy musical sorcerers as well. Chapter 116 Advice Taken. Chapter 116 Advice Taken. Yi Futian wasn't lying. He truly was anticipating, but as to what he was anticipating, only he knew. He's still smiling, many people murmured. Seeing his smile, they all thought he was confident. This time, Hua Jieyu couldn't fight with him. Yi Futian needed to face the opponent alone. As a musical sorcerer facing another musical sorcerer from the Qin clan, no one knew where Yi Futian's confidence came from. Earlier, Bai Chu had thought highly of Yi Futian's talent in the Guqin studies and invited him into the Qin clan, but it was only due to his talent. With the difference in planes, even if one's talent wasn't as high as Yi Futian, one could still defeat him easily. After all, the Qin clan's musical sorcery was the most orthodox in the Kangye kingdom. There were not many people on the Fenghua platform. The earlier fight between the martial artists and sorcerers had ended, leaving only the ones with exceptional cultivation. There were 7 musical sorcerers from the Qin clan, 3 members of the demon clan, the conjurer Hua Juxin, and Yi Futian. The last battle had the biggest number of people. After all, sorcerers from the 7 elements, as well as the spirit elemental, were all there. The 12 strong figures stood in the 4 corners of the Fenghua platform. They were respectively the Qin clan, the demon clan, Hua Juxin, and Yi Futian. When they stood in their positions, everyone realized that the Qin clan was not the only ones who felt animosity towards Yi Futian. The demon clan also did. Yesterday, Yu Sheng had defeated Yun Di, and today, he threw Wu Quanren off the Fenghua platform. They would have Yi Futian pay for this because they couldn't fight Yu Sheng. Hua Juxin felt this subtle feeling. She slowly walked over to Yi Futian and said softly, "Shall we team up?" Yi Futian looked at the beautiful girl beside him. They had worked together yesterday, but that time, Yi Futian was playing the Guqin, Princess Yi Lingxi was dancing, and Hua Juxin was painting. Today, they would have to fight. Sure. Yi Futian smiled and nodded. Seeming to feel something, he looked up at the black wing eagle in the air. As expected, he saw a pair of smiling eyes. He felt wronged. This beauty had come to him. It wasn't his fault. Thinking of what happened last night, Yi Futian instantly felt unsettled. How could she leave halfway through? Thinking of Fox's sexy moves yesterday, Yi Futian was very depressed. Hua Jiu was so cruel, and he must not fall for that trick again. "Miss Juxin, this is not needed. We don't want to fight against you," the Qin clan youth from before said. His name was Su Mu and was a 9-star glory plane musical sorcerer. He was very talented. Other than Bai Chu, no other Qin clan youth had a higher talent than him. "It's all right. We are here to fight, so there's no need for politeness." Hua Juxin's voice was so soft and she felt so weak that no one could bear fighting her. "If that's the case, then I'm sorry." Su Mu didn't say anything more. Hua Juxin was in the 8-star glory plane. She looked weak, but she was one of the popular contestants of the Fenghua banquet. How could she be weak? If they fought one-on-one, Su Mu didn't have the confidence to easily win against Hua Juxin, despite being in a higher plane. Guqin spirits appeared with a flash. The various musical sorcerers began playing at the same time. 2 types of melodies streamed out instantly, Yi Futian playing one, the Qin clan playing another song. Hua Juxin knelt on the ground and used her hand as a brush. She began drawing on the ground with great focus. There was a unique charm to her when she was focused on it. At the same time, Yun Di of the demon clan took out a leaf and blew with it. Some of the others whistled or played the flute. The sounds were very strange and demons began rustling in the air again. Hua Juxin drew very quickly, much faster than Zhou Mu, whom Yi Futian had dealt with before. Her drawings were more realistic too, with heavier spiritual qi. Very soon, countless birds flew out of the ground. Some circled around her while others flew to Yi Futian, seeming to protect him. This made Yi Futian want to laugh and cry. Since when did he need a girl's protection? "I don't need it." Yi Futian smiled and glanced at Hua Juxin. The cacophonous sounds came out of his Guqin spirit. It was like a battlefield. "Aren't we working together?" Hua Juxin looked up and smiled too. Then she lowered her head and continued drawing. At the same time, a continuous stream of demons flew to the Fenghua platform, charging toward Hua Juxin and Yi Futian. The birds circling Hua Juxin went to attack the demons while she continued drawing as if these things had nothing to do with her. A strange light shone in Yi Futian's eyes. His head was lowered so no one could see the terrifying storm brewing in his eyes. A strange spiritual energy poured into his music. When the wild demons attacked, the strange spiritual mark accompanied the music and rushed into the demons' minds. Something odd happened. When the demons approached Yi Futian, they just stopped. The violent demons became tame and sprawled on the ground quietly as if listening to his music. Many people froze. Yi Futian's music was so powerful and aggressive, like a battlefield. How could it tame the demons? Of course, they had no way of knowing that Yi Futian had two spiritual elemental life spirits. Other than being a musical sorcerer, he was also a beastmaster, rather than a beast tamer. Hua Juxin's gaze went slack too, but then she continued drawing. Knowing that Yi Futian was okay, she summoned the birds back to her side and focused on the demon clan. Su Mu and the Qin clan were playing quietly. What had just happened was a bit odd, but this didn't disrupt their playing. Their music gradually intensified. The artistic conception was similar to Yi Futian's and could bring people into a battlefield. Following that, there seemed to be arrows whizzing across the battlefield. They shot toward Yi Futian with amazing power, as if it could pierce one's mind. This time, only Su Mu attacked. Though the others were playing, they didn't seem to want to attack Yi Futian together. Yi Futian played by himself. On the battlefield, soldiers with shields blocked the arrows. The spectators around the Fenghua platform listened to the music and had an extraordinary feeling. They seemed to be on a battlefield while two armies faced each other before them. Yi Futian's melody was the decree of the general. The melody played by Su Mu's group was Kill the Wolf. This song radiated with the intent to kill. Su Mu's song was highly aggressive. Thousands of arrows shot out at once to tear through everything. On the other hand, Yi Futian's song was like a general holding his ground. It was stable as a mountain. No matter how the enemy attacked, he would not move. Su Mu's song intensified. After the thousands of arrows, the soldiers began marching. Their spears pierced everything. Yi Futian's song was still on the defensive. If soldiers came, his would block them. He had a reaction for every action. The general was level-headed and the military was organized. No matter how Su Mu's song attacked, it could not break through Yi Futian's spiritual barrier. The two were at a stalemate. Su Mu's melody became a bit chaotic. In the artistic conception, the thousands of soldiers fought wildly, attacking without order. Yi Futian was still unmoved. When Su Mu's song became more and more chaotic, Yi Futian's song finally changed. It went from steady to resounding in an instant. The song of bloodshed shook the earth. Thousands of soldiers and horses charged like a flood. Everyone was immersed in the artistic conception instantly. Su Mu's presence was completely covered and he seemed to be defeated. On the Fenghua platform, a terrifying gust of musical storm swept through, pressing towards Su Mu. It was about to sweep his body away. But at that moment, the other Qin clan disciples acted. Their music seemed to resonate with Su Mu's and erupted instantly. At that moment, the song Kill the Wolf exploded with shocking power. The restrained presence suddenly seemed to turn the tide. Many people's expressions changed. They could clearly see that Su Mu was not fighting Yi Futian alone anymore. The Qin clan was now working together. Su Mu was a musical sorcerer at such a high plane, but he was defeated by Yi Futian. Is there an advantage in numbers? Yi Futian smirked slightly and he stood up slowly. The Guqin spirit followed and floated before him. Yi Futian began walking forward. The music still grew stronger, wildly pressing forward. Everyone watched in shock as Yi Futian began walking toward the Qin clan. With each step, his imposing manner strengthened a bit more. The general had given the decree and now he would face the enemy. The Qin clan strummed the instrument strings wildly to resist the storm-like strength, but Yi Futian had gathered his strength. The decree of the general grew more powerful as it progressed. He had gathered his strength for so long, always on the defense. When the general gave the decree, everything was already set and could not be turned back. On the contrary, Su Mu had been attacking for so long to no success and his power weakened. Yi Futian obviously wouldn't give him the chance for a breather. Everyone watched as Yi Futian walked toward the Qin clan. He was so wildly arrogant, seeing no one at his level. One 8-star glory plane disciple of the Qin clan couldn't stand it anymore. He spat out blood and collapsed. With one down, the music grew more chaotic. After that, a second person, a third. They continued to collapse until only Su Mu was still holding on. Finally, Yi Futian waved his arm like the general giving the last decree to wrap up the tragedy. A storm swept by, injuring Su Mu's spiritual mind. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and his power instantly weakened. The music stopped instantly. Yi Futian's Gukan spirit disappeared. He stood before the Qin clan disciples with a smile. The Qin clan's musical sorcery and disciples are just as the rumors say, he said lightly. Advice taken. Chapter 117 Look Down On. Chapter 117. Look Down On. After hearing Yi Futian's words, everyone from the Qin clan had a darkened expression on their face. They were utterly humiliated. The spectators in the air looked at the handsome young man in shock. Yi Futian only had to play one piece to wipe out 7 powerful cultivators from the Qin clan. It was already humiliating enough that the highest level cultivator was in the 9-starred glory plane. The Qin clan's musical sorcery and disciples are just as the rumors say. How were the Qin clan members supposed to feel after Yi Futian said that? The worst thing was the way he said it. Yi Futian's tone was calm and peaceful. A smile was spread across his face. He made it look like he really meant what he said. A silent killer. Crawling up from the ground, Sumu just wanted to dig a hole and bury himself in it. He knew everyone was staring at him. From this point on, whenever anybody would look at him, they would probably think of this battle. It was not hard to tell how Sumu felt at this moment. Although you have won, there is no need to insult others. I admit that I still have a lot to learn, but you're not going to make it past this round either, said Sumu, not forgetting to jinx Yi Futian. That's all right. To have been able to get a taste of the Qin clan's musical sorcery, I haven't wasted the trip here, smiled Yi Futian. Sumu wanted to find a hole and hide. His expression darkened. This was a direct quote of what he had said to Yi Futian before the battle. A final jab. No one in the audience had anything to say, neither did Sumu and the others. Actually, they were too humiliated to say anything else. In a gray mood, they all clumsily scattered off the Fenghua platform. To be honest, Sumu had it coming. When they had first set foot on the platform, he first provoked Yi Futian. Yi Futian had not yet opened his mouth before Sumu ran his. Sumu was so sure that he would win. No one expected the battle to end this way. It was all because Sumu was overly confident. As an occupation class, musical sorcery was different from the rest. It was much harder to make up for a difference in the level of cultivation. Plus, the Qin clan's musical sorcery was the most orthodox in the Kangye kingdom. Sumu was very confident that his musical sorcery was stronger than that of Yi Futian. Unfortunately, it was all a delusion. From in the air, Bai Chu kept his eyes on Yi Futian. Yi Futian had defeated 7 of the Qin clan's best in this battle, hurting the clan's pride. Everyone else was thinking back at yesterday's conversation between Bai Chu and Yi Futian. So, this was the reason why Yi Futian rejected the offer to enter the Qin clan. If he was already able to defeat the members of the Qin clan, what was there to learn from them? At the thought of this, many people turned to look at Bai Chu. If Yi Futian got the chance to battle against him, Bai Chu would definitely try violently to get revenge on Yi Futian to reclaim the pride lost in this battle. Not far from Yi Futian, the battle between Hua Juxin and the Demon Clan had also come to an end. The delicate figure remained quietly standing while the 3 cultivators from the Demon Clan, Yundi included, had been defeated. Hua Juxin and Yundi were both named as strong contenders for the Fenghua rank. Both of them were extremely gifted. However, Hua Juxin was of a higher cultivation level than Yundi. Thus, the audience was not too surprised at this result, but it did give them a strange feeling that Yundi had lost in both battles. In the first round of battles, he met the freak, Yu Sheng, and now, Hua Juxin. All they could say was that this young prodigy from the Demon Clan was simply too unlucky. Yi Futian, Hua Juxin, pass, the elder announced the results. Prodigy, Yundi, had been eliminated quicker than anticipated. To this, spectators could only let out a sigh. Yundi had not even gotten the chance to be considered by the emperor. Yi Futian and Hua Juxin met eyes and shared a smile. Then, they left the Fenghua platform separately. The battle between those in the glory plane had concluded. Only 5 people had passed and received candidacy to be considered by the emperor for the Fenghua rank. These 5 were Yu Sheng, Lin Yuyao, Hua Jieyu, Hua Juxin, and Yi Futian. Unexpectedly, there were 3 beauties among them. People had also noticed that Yu Sheng, Yi Futian, and Hua Jieyu were a group. Yi Futian and Hua Jieyu seemed to be a couple, while Yu Sheng and Yi Futian seemed to be extremely close as well. They were just like brothers. Yu Sheng had previously yelled at Bai Chu in anger for Yi Futian, telling him to shut up. Now, all three of them have become a candidate for the Fenghua rank. It was pretty difficult not to take notice of them. It did not seem like they were from the Kangye Kingdom's imperial city because otherwise, they would have received lots of attention early on. So, which prefecture of the Kangye Kingdom were they from? Quickly, the people threw their questions aside. The battles between the Dharma Plane participants had begun. Only 5 people in the Glory Plane had passed, but there should be more to do so in the Dharma Plane. After all, they were in a higher plane, so they should higher cultivation. The battle between the Dharma Plane cultivators was extra thrilling. The more heated the battle got, the more certain people began to stand out. For example, young Lord Yi Wuchen. With an arrogant, cold demeanor, no one could get past the sword in his hand. What's more, he had not yet released his life spirit. Otherwise, he would have been even more frightening. Not even the prodigy-level Dharma Plane cultivators could withstand his sword. Besides Yi Wuchen, there was also Zuo Qinfen and Yu Zhong from Kangye College, as well as Bai Chu from the Qin clan. All of them were strong contenders for the Fenghua rank. Naturally, their performance would not be too shabby. They were all very outstanding and all passed, receiving candidacy for the Fenghua rank. In addition to these participants, others that had passed included 1 person from the Demon clan, 2 nobles, and 3 people who have come a long way outside of Kangye City. All of them had put on a show-stealing performance. 5 from the Glory Plane and 10 from the Dharma Plane. The candidates for the Fenghua rank consists of a total of 15 cultivators. Among this group, 10 of them would enter the actual rank. The chances were high for everyone now, but it was also more difficult now. In this group of 15, Yi Futian, Hua Jieyu, and Yu Sheng had the lowest level of cultivation. They were all 7-starred Glory Plane cultivators. People were amazed at this. If they weren't incredibly gifted, this would not have been possible. Out of the 3, Yu Sheng was the strongest contender for the Fenghua rank. The emperor picked people not solely based on abilities but also gifts. From the group of 15 people, Yu Sheng's gifts in martial arts stood out the most because it was different from the rest. People with special gifts like him were usually favored. On the other hand, people did not have high hopes for Hua Jieyu and Yi Futian. Hua Jieyu's opponent might end up being Lin Yuyao. As the Kangye Kingdom's #1 beauty, Lin Yuyao was the best, regardless of looks or gifts and talents. With her shining so brightly, it was going to be difficult for Hua Jieyu to outdo her. The reason why Yi Futian wasn't favored was simple. Although he had outstanding gifts, he was a musical sorcerer. Amongst the cultivators in the same occupation class, there was Dharma Plane musical sorcerer, Bai Chu, present. Yi Futian may very well be suppressed by him. There was no way the emperor would pick 2 musical sorcerers for the Fenghua rank. Because of this, the possibility that Yi Futian would be eliminated instead of Bai Chu was very high. Besides, Yi Futian had previously insulted members of the Qin clan. Bai Chu was going to pick on him for sure. After 6 battles, not too much time had passed. Emperor Yi looked up at the sky and then at the crowd. With a smile, he said, "After all that bustling, why don't we all take a rest? You guys can take this time to think about what request you want to make. Some of you need to be prepared when the time comes later today." Many people began to laugh. The top 3 on the Fenghua rank would get to make a request to the emperor. There was no way anyone would let go of an opportunity like this. They must try their best to fight for it. However, the chances of getting into top 3 would be much harder than getting into the top 10 out of the 15. Although these 15 were all the best of the best, not too many of them had absolute confidence they would make it to the top. After Emperor Yi finished speaking, he left in his carriage. The crowd remained outside of the imperial palace. It was not too long before noon. They were willing to wait where they were. Who would be picked by the emperor? Who would make it into the top 3, the place above all? Everyone started discussing. The skies about the platform became extra loud. Yi Futian and his friends arrived to join Hua Fengliu and Nando Wenyan. "Master, You will be healed very soon. Yi Futian smiled at Hua Fengliu. It seemed like he was sure that had top 3 in the bag. To heal Hua Fengliu had been Yi Futian's biggest wish. After the death of Elder Qin, his will to accomplish this wish became stronger. So, when he heard that the Kangye Kingdom was holding the Fenghua banquet, Yi Futian did not hesitate in his decision to participate. With a chance to request something from the emperor, it would be a waste to ask for my injuries to be healed. Hua Fengliu looked at his disciple. He obviously had no doubts about Yi Futian's abilities. If he really wanted to get into the top 3, he was for sure going to get in. The question was, how much of his gifts was going to be exposed? Simply revealing his gifts as a musical sorcerer was enough to get him candidacy for the Fenghua rank. If Yi Futian revealed any more gifts, he would be a shoo-in for the rank. Top 3 would depend on the circumstances when the time comes. Yeah, it would be a waste, but it's because you're lucky enough to have a good disciple like me, said Yi Futian. Where are your limits? Hua Fengliu asked with a darkened expression. He was just having a touching moment, but hearing Yi Futian's words rendered him speechless. I only speak the truth, Yi Futian said nonchalantly. Futian is right. You should be happy to have such a disciple, Nando Wenyan said with a smile. Masteress, you're the best. Yi Futian gave her a big, charming smile. Hua Fengliu looked at his wife, then at Hua Jiayu, who was standing beside Hua Jiayu. A wave of sadness washed over him. Just then, a large crowd headed in their direction. Yi Futian turned to look at them and heard what one of them said. Yi Futian, have you thought about joining a clan for cultivation? Yi Futian looked at the people who had approached. They were separate groups and have seemingly come to recruit new members. No need. I haven't thought about it. Yi Futian shook his head and smiled. He continued, thank you for asking. Yi Futian thought it was strange. Why did they only invite him and not Yu Sheng? All right. Everyone smiled and nodded. Then, they looked to Yu Sheng. A person in the crowd said with a smile, Yu Sheng, I would like to say congratulations in advance. If you get picked by the emperor, please don't let the opportunity go to waste. Yu Sheng looked at him calmly and made no attempts to reply, so the people said their goodbyes and left. Yi Futian finally understood. The reason why they did not invite Yu Sheng was that they knew they weren't worthy. So, did that mean that Yi Futian was looked down on? He suddenly felt very depressed. They had just come to extend an invitation to him, but who would have thought it was because, in their opinion, Yi Futian would not make it into the Fenghua rank. Everyone chit-chatted away. Many of them discussed the candidates of the Fenghua rank. Yu Sheng was a popular choice. However, Yi Futian's name was rarely mentioned. Yi Futian glared at Yu Sheng. Yu Sheng looked back at him feeling wronged. It's not my fault. Chapter 118 First Battle. Chapter 118 First Battle. Time went by bit. It was getting close to noon. There were countless people in the vast space surrounding the Fenghua platform. They were all discussing the Fenghua rank. Soon, the Fenghua banquet would enter the most critical moment, when the emperor decided the candidates of the Fenghua rank. Everyone was waiting for this to happen. Young Lord Yi Wuchen was the cream of the crop with amazing swordsmanship. Zuo Qinfen of the Kangye College was incontestably talented. They were both in the second Dharma plane. How amazing would their fight be? Wang Yu, the pride of the Wang family, had always been pursuing Lin Yuyao, the #1 beauty of Kangye Kingdom. Would he be able to display his brilliance today and win the lady's heart? Yu Sheng seemed undefeatable in the glory plane. Would he or Lin Yuyao be stronger? How would the 3 beauties of the glory plane, Lin Yuyao, Hua Juxin, and Hua Jiayu, fare against each other? Yi Futian had defeated 7 strong opponents of the Qin clan. Next, there was a high possibility that he would face Bai Chu's revenge. With Yi Futian's skills in the 7-star glory plane, would he be a threat to Bai Chu or would he be humiliated? Would the talents from outside the imperial city be able to shake the brilliant geniuses of the city? All of this would be revealed shortly after. As time passed, the 15 people came to the Fenghua platform. Yi Futian gazed at the crowd, eyes sweeping past Bai Chu and Yu Zhong, the genius of Kangye College. He hadn't forgotten about what happened at the banquet last night. The nobles and lords returned to their seats beside the emperor's seat. They looked to the 15 figures, also anticipating what was to come. Lord, Wuchen's talent is unparalleled. He will definitely be part of the top 3 of the Fenghua rank, a clan member said to Lord Yi. Your Wang Yu is highly talented as well. He may have a chance. Lord Yi chuckled. The Wang clan elder smiled. Glancing at a youth beside the Fenghua platform, he said, that boy's cultivation is unorganized. I don't know what he's thinking every day, and he's chatting even now. At the moment, Wang Yu was standing next to the beautiful Lin Yuyao while saying something. They seemed to be chatting and attracted many jealous gazes. Perhaps only someone like Wang Yu was qualified to approach Lin Yuyao. Clan leader Wang, you must be lying. If he gets the Lin family girl, you'll probably dislocate your jaw from laughing, someone else said. The Wang elder laughed as well. If Wang Yu really could win Lin Yuyao, it would definitely be a great thing. While they were conversing, the royals arrived and sat in their seats. Looking at the sun, the emperor announced, "Let us begin." The Kangye College elder walked onto the Fenghua platform. There were no bookmarks this time. Instead, the elder gazed at the 15 stars in the air and said, "Listen carefully." The people nodded. 15 gazes fell upon the elder. There are no rules in the final round, the elder said. Anyone who wishes to perform can step onto the Fenghua platform. You can display your talents however you wish. Everything will end when no one else wishes to continue. In the end, the emperor will personally name who will enter the Fenghua rank, depending on your performance. After the elder finished, he stepped off the platform. Everything hereafter was for the 15. They could do whatever they wanted without any restrictions. Many looked to the 5 in the glory plane. Of them, Yi Futian's trio wouldn't fight against each other. This way, there was no more leeway. Would they challenge those of the Dharma plane? Those who remained until now were all abnormally talented. Even Lin Yuyao probably had no confidence against the Dharma plane. Lin Yuyao's gaze fell upon Hua Juxin and Yi Futian's group. She was the highest of the glory plane, but challenging those below her was not as impressive. The atmosphere was strange and no one stepped onto the Fenghua platform. I'll fight the first battle, Hua Jieyu whispered to Yi Futian. Okay. Yi Futian smiled gently. He and Hua Jieyu were both unpopular, but he believed in Hua Jieyu. As a full elemental spiritual sorcerer, her talent was much better than what others imagined. Otherwise, the Nando clan wouldn't have put all their hope on her. Minister Zuo hadn't predicted her fate yet at that time. They had chosen her purely for her talent. Hua Jieyu's body flashed. She descended onto the Fenghua platform like a fairy. She looked up into the air and everyone's gazes sharpened. She was looking at the number 1 beauty of Kangye, Lin Yuyao. Everyone thought that the emperor didn't name Hua Jieyu because she was overshadowed by Lin Yuyao. However, the one she wanted to challenge first happened to be Lin Yuyao. Hua Jieyu didn't speak, but Lin Yuyao seemed to understand. Her clothes fluttering, she flew down and landed on the platform. The 2 beauties wanted to complete the battle they didn't have the chance to before. Your plane is a disadvantage, Lin Yuyao murmured. She was at the 9-star glory plane while Hua Jieyu was 2 planes lower. Let's start, Hua Jieyu said softly. After that, light flashed behind her. She had released her life spirit. This was Hua Jieyu's first time releasing her life spirit. She had inherited her mother's, but it was even more beautiful. It was a crown, elegant and holy. It radiated with dazzling light. When the crown rested on Hua Jieyu's head, there seemed to be invisible spiritual ripples all around her. Even Lin Yuyao, standing far away from her, could feel her own spiritual strength tremble. The spiritual chi around Hua Jieyu seemed to erupt. Wind wrapped around her and the wood elemental spiritual chi transformed into the lock of 1,000 vines. It covered the sky and extended forward. She instantly glowed with holy light like a fairy. When they saw this, everyone realized that they'd underestimated Hua Jieyu's talent. She was stronger than what they'd thought. Lin Yuyao felt threatened too. A similarly beautiful glow appeared behind her. She released her life spirit. It was a beautiful demon, the purple gold rock. Lin Yuyao's mount was a purple gold rock as well. The elders of her clan had captured an arcana-level purple gold rock for her so she could understand her life spirit better. That was how powerful a big clan was. Beautiful golden feathers appeared on Lin Yuyao's body. A similar wind wrapped around her body. She also knew wind sorcery. Two beautiful figures shot into the air. They hovered above the Fenghua platform, captivating everyone. The lock of 1,000 vines curled toward Lin Yuyao. Her golden wings flashed sharply like daggers. They flapped, continuously slicing the vines curling at her. Boom! The wings shook and Lin Yuyao flew toward Hua Jieyu at an extreme speed. She also cultivated martial arts. Her life spirit gave her amazing power and speed. Hua Jieyu mainly cultivated spiritual sorcery and didn't study martial arts. Fighting Hua Jieyu from the distance was not a smart choice. Seeing Lin Yuyao approach, Hua Jieyu remained calm. Water elemental spiritual chi gathered around her. Poof! Poof! Golden blades continuously popped out of Lin Yuyao's wings. With the wind spell's help, she charged at Hua Jieyu. A dazzling light flashed past Hua Jieyu's eyes. An invisible spiritual strength burst forth. The golden daggers slowed down and exploded into spiritual chi before Hua Jieyu. At the same time, Lin Yuyao used the attack's protection to approach Hua Jieyu. Her wings really transformed into blades now. Once she got close, Hua Jieyu would be in trouble. Hua Jieyu reached forward. A terrifying spiritual wave rippled out like a storm sweeping forward. Lin Yuyao's terrible speed reduced to and even paused temporarily in the sky. Her life spirit seemed to shake violently. Golden lightning tore through everything. The purple gold rock's shadow appeared on her body. She broke free from the restraint and continued forward. There was rumbling, and a water spell suddenly erupted before Lin Yuyao. It instantly swept toward her body. This spell wasn't offensive, but it seemed to stick to her, making it impossible for her to advance. Powerful attacks were useless against water spells. Her wings and lightning beat upon the watery prison and just passed right through. Ice seal. Hua Jieyu's powerful spiritual strength erupted again and the watery prison turned into ice. Lin Yuyao was instantly frozen inside. There were rustles again. The lock of 1,000 vines swept toward Lin Yuyao's ice-sealed body and buried her within. But things didn't stop here. Countless golden swords appeared in the air. Supported by the wind spell, they hovered quietly in the air, aimed at Lin Yuyao. With a loud boom, the ice seal and lock of 1,000 vines all exploded. Lin Yuyao burst free with a beautiful flash. But at the same time, a gust of strong spiritual strength fell onto her, making her stop again. The golden blades transformed into real lightning. They descended in an instant, landing before Lin Yuyao's beautiful figure. But then they stopped without stabbing down. Lin Yuyao's eyes went blank. The countless hovering daggers right before her eyes felt unreal. Then she looked up at Hua Jieyu. "You lost," Hua Jieyu said softly. Her voice was still calm and indifferent, but all the strong talents around the Fenghua platform were frozen on her. She had used the spiritual power to guide all the elements. As a spiritual sorcerer, Hua Jieyu had made everyone overlook her terrifying talent of the other elements. Now, she displayed her talent in wind, metal, water, and wood. The first battle of the Fenghua banquet's last round had shaken everyone. Lin Yuyao, #1 beauty of the Kangye Kingdom, was defeated. Chapter 119 Anger. Chapter 119, Anger. It was yet another battle full of surprises. #1 beauty of the Kangye Kingdom, Lin Yuyao, was thought to be a shoo-in for the Fenghua rank. When she entered battle with Hua Jieyu, who was at a lower level, everyone thought it was going to be a no-brainer. But things never turn out as expected. Hua Jieyu revealed her outstanding gift. As a spiritual sorcerer, she incorporated the use of sorcery of various elements and defeated Lin Yuyao, blow by blow. She was so quick, Lin Yuyao did not even have time to demonstrate her powers. Just like that, the person who was a shoo-in for the Fenghua rank was now Hua Jieyu, not Lin Yuyao. Yi Futian watched the beautiful figure on the Fenghua platform. A smile reached his eyes. At age 12, the young girl entered Qingzhou Academy and revealed her shocking talents. 3 years later, she became a female legend at the academy. After arriving in the city of Donghai, she entered Donghai Academy and became a legend there as well. Today, she was finally able to shine at her brightest. Although, it was not in the Nando nation but at the Kangye Kingdom's Fenghua banquet. Many important figures gave Hua Jieyu a look of admiration. Under the calm and collected use of sorcery, Hua Jieyu was able to defeat Lin Yuyao without giving her a chance to prove her worth. Appearance aside, This girl was way more cultivated in terms of combat than Lin Yuyao. The sharp golden swords turned into spiritual chi and dissipated. Lin Yuyao blinked a couple of times. It seemed that she had only just broken out of her daze. She actually lost to Hua Jieyu, a lower-level cultivator. I have been defeated. Lin Yuyao smiled bitterly and flew away from the battle platform. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yuyao calmed herself. This defeat made her more clear-headed. She had always been the center of attention with countless people praising her into the skies. She had finally been defeated. However, the Fenghua banquet had not yet ended. She still had a chance to redeem herself. This round was a free-for-all. No rules. Even if you lost a battle, you still had a chance to prove yourself. Yuyao, you were just a little careless. Don't take this defeat to heart, Wang Yu yelled from the skies above. His voice was anything but quiet, everyone heard him. Many have thought that Wang Yu was only saying that because he was chasing Lin Yuyao. Although it was true that Lin Yuyao had underestimated her opponent, but the reason for her defeat was far more complicated than simple underestimation. Lin Yuyao did not reply. Wang Yu saw that he had been ignored and turned his attention below to Hua Jieyu, who was getting ready to depart. Wait, a voice said coldly. Wang Yu began to descend onto the Fenghua platform. Hua Jieyu lifted her head to look at Wang Yu with her beautiful eyes. Still in the air, Wang Yu's body became enveloped in flames. He looked extremely domineering. The high temperatures radiating off of him seemed to be able to turn his surroundings into ash. Step by step, he made his way down from the skies. Everyone looked at Wang Yu strangely. At his level of cultivation as a first-level Dharma plane cultivator, he was not supposed to make a move on a mere 7-starred glory plane cultivator like Hua Jieyu. However, it was obvious that he was not doing so to prove his worth. He was doing so purely because he wanted to get even for what happened to Lin Yuyao. First-level Dharma plane cultivator, Wang Yu. Even if he was victorious in his battle with Hua Jieyu, it would not be representative of his talents. He was fighting for the damsel. Lin Yuyao's was dumbfounded. She took a glance at Wang Yu. She did not have any special relationship with him. Neither had she accepted his feelings. However, she also did not do anything to stop Wang Yu. On the other side, Futian was frowning. A cold expression washed over his face. His attention turned toward Hua Jieyu once again. Although there were no rules in this round, it was still possible to forfeit. At Hua Jieyu's level of cultivation, no one would think any less of her if she rejected this battle. But Hua Jieyu did not want to admit defeat before trying. She looked at the approaching figure. He was like a god of fire. Wang Yu was still slowly making his way down. Before he even landed, Hua Jieyu already felt the burning heat on her body. Her life spirit appeared once again. A wave of spiritual chi erupted around Hua Jieyu. Even though he was in the Dharma plane, she wanted to give it a try. The lock of 1,000 vines shot towards Wang Yu. With one step forward, the flames spread through the air and turned all the attacking vines into ash. Whoosh! A majestic image appeared in the skies. A pair of flame wings appeared on Wang Yu's back. Every flap was accompanied by a gust of hot air. The temperature was extremely high. Hua Jieyu was located right under the flames and felt like she was about to be set ablaze. Realization of Dharma. Everyone was entranced by the large pair of flame wings. It was Wang Yu's realization of Dharma. He continued to descend it, getting closer and closer to Hua Jieyu. It was as if he were doing this on purpose. In order to get even for Lin Yuyao, he was going to make things difficult from Hua Jieyu. Fox, forfeit. Futian took a step forward and screamed to Hua Jieyu standing in the Fenghua platform below. Hua Jieyu looked at Futian. She knew that there was no way she could win this battle. It was pointless to continue. Just as Hua Jieyu was about to open her mouth, Wang Yu flapped his enormous wings and he was carried straight towards Hua Jieyu, getting extremely close to her body. I admit defeat, Hua Jieyu said calmly. Whoosh! The frightening flame wings brushed right above her head. The hot air rushed across her face, burning the chiffon veil, dissipating into nothing. Right away, her beautiful face filled everyone's vision. Everyone focused in on her face. Seeing her beauty, their eyes were frozen on Hua Jieyu. No one knew how to describe this face. Her face that was once veiled was perfect, flawless. Even Wang Yu was dumbfounded. This was obviously not what he had expected. Even though everyone already knew that Hua Jieyu was a beauty, no one expected it to be of this caliber. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Many people turned to look at Lin Yuyao and they realized that even the Kangye Kingdom's #1 beauty was lacking in comparison to Hua Jieyu. This meant that Hua Jieyu had defeated Lin Yuyao in terms of talents and looks. Then, could Lin Yuyao still be considered the #1 beauty? Lin Yuyao was also looking at Hua Jieyu. For the first time, she realized that even she could be inferior to another female. Even she had to admit that there was nothing to be said about Hua Jieyu's beauty. Lin Yuyao suddenly remembered what she overheard Yi Futian say to Hua Jieyu as they brushed shoulders outside Kangye College. At the time, she thought it was simply something Yi Futian said to make his girlfriend happy. It was not until now that she realized that he was serious about what he had said. Princess Yi Lingxi and Hua Juxin were feeling troubled. They could not believe that another girl more beautiful than themselves had appeared. On top of that, her talents were outstanding. Sorry about that, Wang Yu said. Withdrawing his proud attitude, he gave Hua Jieyu a quick nod. Hua Jieyu stared at him with a cold demeanor. Her gaze was cold and icy. "Fox, come back," a voice called out to her. Hua Jieyu turned to look at Yi Futian. Nodding her head lightly, her body lifted into the skies in a flash. Back on the Black Wind Eagle's back, Hua Jieyu walked up to Yi Futian. Disappointment filled her beautiful eyes. Her head hung low as if she had done something wrong. "It's fine." Yi Futian petted her head lightly. Hua Jieyu looked up at Yi Futian with puppy dog eyes. Seeing how close the two were, dozens of jealous gazes were immediately directed at Yi Futian. Even Bai Chu's cold eyes carried a bit of jealousy. Who was Yi Futian to deserve this? Such a brilliant young woman listened to every word he said and acted like a little girl in front of him. That look that she gave Yi Futian could melt the hearts of everyone present. In the Kangye Kingdom, many talented young men had pursued the #1 beauty, Lin Yuyao, but none of them were successful. Now, someone who outshined Lin Yuyao had appeared, but she was already Yi Futian's girlfriend. On top of that, they were being all lovey-dovey in front of everyone. It was clear how everyone felt about this. Naturally, Yi Futian did not care about how the others were feeling. All he knew was that he wasn't feeling too swell. He was in an extremely bad mood. Hua Jieyu defeated Lin Yuyao and someone actually tried to make a move on Hua Jieyu to get even for Lin Yuyao. Even her veil was burned. Obviously, Yi Futian was in a horrible mood. After consoling Hua Jieyu, Yi Futian stepped forward with his fists clenched. A loud sound was emitted. His attention turned to Wang Yu who had returned into the skies. Yi Futian's gaze was cold. "You have a death wish," said Yi Futian. Without using wind sorcery, Yi Futian descended straight down from the sky onto the Fenghua platform in a flash. The platform shook as he landed. Another one in anger for a damsel. Everyone looked at Yi Futian, trying to mimic Wang Yu. Did Yi Futian have the abilities to do so? They watched as Yi Futian's gaze focused on someone in the sky. His eyes shot daggers at Wang Yu. With a cold demeanor, he ordered, "Get your ass down here. Now." Everyone was shocked. This guy really was crazy. Yi Futian was only in the 7-starred glory plane. Wang Yu was a cultivator in the Dharma plane. No matter how you looked at it, they were people of different levels. Wang Yu frowned, his eyes cold as well. Then, he let out a smirk. Trying to mimic him, was Yi Futian even worthy of doing so? Wang Yu walked forward, ready to head down when a figure stepped out in front of him. It was the musical sorcerer prodigy of the Qin clan, Bai Chu. "Our problems have yet to be settled," said Bai Chu. He was afraid that once Yi Futian and Wang Yu battled, Yi Futian wouldn't have the guts to step onto the Fenghua platform again. If so, how was he supposed to get revenge for what Yi Futian did to the members of the clan yesterday? Yi Futian looked at Wang Yu, then at Bai Chu. Then, "Let's go, one at a time." Chapter 120 Beg Forgiveness from the Emperor. Chapter 120. Beg Forgiveness from the Emperor. Around the Fenghua platform, everyone's eyes were on Yi Futian, a bit shocked at his confidence. Wang Yu, the pride of the kingdom, and in the Dharma plane. Bai Chu, the most talented of the Qin clan's younger generation and a musical sorcerer in the Dharma plane. Yi Futian, a musical sorcerer in the 7-star glory plane. Compared like this, there was no way for Yi Futian to sway the other two. No matter how talented he was, the difference in plane was too much. He had to cross into the Dharma plane. Those in the Dharma plane could realize the Dharma, and were frighteningly powerful. Their abilities had a qualitative change from the glory plane. Just then, Bai Chu descended slowly onto the Fenghua platform. There was still a cool smile on his handsome face. Even though it's not impressive for me to defeat you, we have to settle the matter from before, Bai Chu said to Yi Futian. Of course, Yi Futian smiled. He completely agreed. Then let us begin. Bai Chu sat down with crossed legs, extremely charismatic. His Guqin spirit appeared and hovered before him. It was considerably more realistic than Yi Futian's Guqin spirit. It was like a real Guqin. The life spirit developed as the cultivator grew stronger. Yi Futian sat across from Bai Chu and his Guqin spirit also appeared. His aura had changed from before as well. His handsome face was calm and solemn. It was as if only the Guqin was in his eyes at the moment. Some girls looked at Yi Futian, and they had to admit that Yi Futian and Hua Jiu matched in terms of looks. Even the handsome and charismatic Bai Chu wasn't as attractive as him. A string of notes sounded. Bai Chu played first. It was just a note, but everyone could feel a shocking boom on the Fenghua platform. They all looked over. Bai Chu's movements were graceful. His fingers flitted over the instrument strings gently. As the music entered the audience's ears, they were brought into the artistic conception. It was as if the sky was about to change. Wind rose on the Fenghua platform. Yi Futian was solemn. He also strummed the strings and there was another boom. His music was resonant like thunder. He closed his eyes and his memories went back to the Nando clan. He was on the crane and his grandmaster played the Guqin. The pair of calloused hands flew wildly over the strings and the song shook one's heart. Another musical spell sounded on the Fenghua platform. It accompanied Bai Chu's playing like screaming wind and booming thunder. The crowd discovered with a shock that lightning continuously flashed in the sky above the platform. The sunny day had changed under the music, turning into bad weather. Even the talented ones spectating were dragged into the artistic conception of the storm. There was no more sunlight. Dark clouds covered the sky. No wonder he is the best of the Qin clan's younger generation. Everyone gazed at Bai Chu, playing his Guqin on the Fenghua platform. He hadn't displayed his true ability in the earlier fights. Now, he didn't play casually when faced with Yi Futian, who was in a lower plane. Instead, he used his absolute power to obliterate the opponent, letting everyone see the true musical sorcery of the Qin clan to redeem his honor. The Qin clan members all smirked when they saw this scene. There was no place for Yi Futian if Bai Chu was there. Above Yi Futian, dark clouds covered the sky and the wind howled. The lightning was terrifying. Crack! A dazzling bolt of lightning streaked directly toward Yi Futian. Everyone's hearts trembled. Could Yi Futian, playing his Guqin with his eyes closed, withstand this attack? His fingers quickly strummed the strings. The music intensified continuously like a sharp sword in the thunderstorm, wanting to slice through all restraints. Then there was a terrifying streak of purple light. The lightning above Yi Futian's head disappeared as if shattered by the invisible power in Yi Futian's melody. Many people now gazed at him, a bit impressed. For Yi Futian, a 7-star glory plane sorcerer, it was good enough to be able to withstand Bai Chu's violent musical spell like this. However, this didn't seem enough to change the result. The air currents went wild above Yi Futian's head. His spiritual chi erupted and lightning kept flashing as if a terrible storm was brewing. It felt as if Yi Futian was a small boat in the thunderstorm. He could run into danger at any time and be crushed to bits. Yi Futian didn't seem to feel this. His eyes were still closed, unaffected by the opponent's music. His melody continued to rise and a storm rose around him, going against the current. When lightning struck, it would be swallowed by this windstorm. However, Yi Futian knew that there was still a big difference between his spiritual energy and Bai Chu's. In his life palace, the life spirit eye of the storm released terrifying spiritual energy. This power slowly seeped into Yi Futian's mind, transforming into his own spiritual energy. This allowed his music to carry a terrifying artistic conception. The Eye of the Storm was the life spirit given by Emperor Yi Qing. The spiritual storm it contained was very frightening, but he couldn't use much of the power. At this moment, a destructive windstorm erupted from the void to shatter Yi Futian. His hands moved even faster. The spiritual energy kept blooming, rising with the intensifying melody. His own spiritual energy seemed to want to empty itself into the music. Thus, a frightening sight appeared above Yi Futian. There was a burst of music that seemed ready to destroy the world, but another gust of power swept through. The two powers clashed and the entire Fenghua platform was enveloped by the destructive windstorm. Many people shuddered inwardly. They stared at the seated Yi Futian in shock. How could he withstand this strength? Another burst of resonant music sounded. It wanted to pierce through the storm, not bowing down to fate. This music. Many people trembled when hearing Yi Futian's music. He was far from Bai Chu's plane and was repressed, but the power his music displayed and his past determination gave many an indescribable feeling. Bai Chu's brows knitted. He'd wanted to use his absolute advantage to crush Yi Futian, but it wasn't working. His fingers flew across the strings and the storm grew even more terrifying. It seemed to want to flatten the world. Attacks swept through continuously, destroying everything and out to kill Yi Futian. At this moment, Yi Futian was completely immersed in his music. This scene was reminiscent of what happened at the Nando clan. He thought of his grandmaster's tragic but powerful performance. In his life palace, the spiritual energy of the Eye of the Storm continuously transformed into Yi Futian's consciousness. It increased his spiritual energy and there seemed to be no limit for his song. It kept rising. The unparalleled power destroyed everything. The crowd realized with a shock that the increasingly wild thunderstorm in the sky wasn't defeating Yi Futian. Instead, it showed signs of breaking down. Above Yi Futian, a corner of the chaotic music windstorm scattered. As if sunlight shone down, there was light. Is this why he was confident? The spectators were shocked. Earlier, they had thought that there was no way for Yi Futian to be named by the emperor. Now, they weren't so sure. The emperor might take note of him just for this melody and add him to the Fenghua rank. However, this was unbearable for Bai Chu. Countless Gukins hovered around him. They seemed to be playing in unison, and the light of the musical spells endlessly fell upon his Gukin spirit. In an instant, an even more terrifying musical windstorm pressed toward Yi Futian. At the same time, he rose to the air and floated toward Yi Futian. In a moment, he was above Yi Futian. He sat in the air as if he was high and mighty. Bai Chu's hands flew furiously over the strings. The windstorm covered the sun and endless lightning bolted toward Yi Futian. Yi Futian's fingers moved just as fast, almost at his limit. A bright sound pierced through everything and went toward Bai Chu, hovering above him. The two faced each other directly and clashed violently. The audience only felt that both of them were swallowed by the windstorm. The unstoppable power swept toward Yi Futian's body. With a boom, Yi Futian's music stopped. His body continued to be forced backward. However, at the same time, another beam of music charged into Bai Chu's mind. He shook and his music stopped abruptly too. The windstorm above the Fenghua platform disappeared. Sunlight shone down and everything went back to normal, but the results were clear. Yi Futian had still lost, though no one could blame him. This battle was impressive enough. Many gazes fell upon Yi Futian's handsome face. His eyes opened slowly. The black eyes were clear and bright, not frustrated at all by his defeat. His bright smile was like sunlight, nothing like the repressiveness and chaos from earlier. This Yi Futian was a completely different person from before. He had wanted to try with his grandmaster's piece, but the difference in plane was still too much. They were both musical sorcerers and it was difficult to cross such a wide gap. However, he wasn't disappointed. In his last battle with Zhou Mu, his musical spell wasn't enough to defeat him. Now, he could use his music to cross 3 planes into the Dharma plane and still force Bai Chu to this extent. He had improved a lot. You should be proud that I treat you so, Bai Chu said nonchalantly, though his heart was pounding. Yi Futian smiled subtly at Bai Chu. Then he stood up and smirked. He turned around and gazed in the emperor's direction. Bowing, he said, "Your Majesty, when I registered at the Kangye College, I wrote that my occupation is a musical sorcerer. In actuality, I only cultivate musical sorcery to better myself. It is not my expertise. Please forgive me.